What is up, guys? It is time for the Grand Theft Auto 5 Zombie Attack Revelations Director Commentary with GGG and...
Scourge, it's Connor. It's the voice of Connor. It's actually me. Can you believe it?
We made it! Oh my gosh, dude. I thought we were gonna do this years ago, but here we are, late 2025.
I know. It feels
Holy
like
crap.
everything has been getting in the way as well.
You know, life happens, guys. I wish, I could say, hey, we work on ZAR full time. No, we do not. We have very, very, very busy personal lives, both of us. And we'll talk about, why did the show take so long to make? What were up with the huge delays? Some fun behind the scenes stuff. We'll talk about some scrapped ideas that we had and whatnot. So if y'all have been following me for a while, you know that after every single Zombie Attack season, we do one of these, a director commentary. We talk about that stuff. But if you are new to the channel and you haven't seen the past director commentaries, it's basically what we do is we just go through like a summarization, not going through every single solitary detail because this video would be 80 hours long, but we're going to do like a quick synopsis of like the background, like how this show came to be, and then talk about some fun behind the scenes stuff, and then to end it off, just our overall thoughts on it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So with Revelations, alright, where do we even begin, man?
Yo, where do we begin?
Ed Meister, what's up, dude?
Yeah, you can start by saying hi to me.
What's up, Ed?
What's up, dude?
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing good.
Doing great. Good to see you, man. So yeah, we're doing the director commentary. Don't know if you heard my quick summary of it, but yeah, basically after every Zombie Attack season, we do like a quick director commentary, which is based. I don't know if you've ever watched like director commentary on any like movie, DVD or whatever.
Oh,
but it's kind of like
I
that.
love those.
We would talk about like some background stuff, some fun behind the scenes stuff. We're going to talk about some ideas we had that were scrapped, ideas that we had that somehow in a miracle made it into the show, and just, our overall thoughts on it once we're done. So this ain't going to be a play-by-play for each episode, otherwise we would be here until next week. But we're going to, just go over some of the highlights and stuff, and there's probably going to be stuff that we're going to miss, FYI. That's just how it is. I mean, we've done that with every single past director commentary, where as soon as I stop recording, I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. So if y'all have any thing you want to bring up, feel free to add it in the comments, and we love to hear y'all's thoughts and whatnot on the show. So Revelations. Where do we start with this? Scourge, Ed Meister. Man.
Well, for Revelations, how much of this was planned during Legacies? Because I feel like a large portion of it was.
I would say, so typically what we do when it comes to writing these seasons is what we'll do is we'll come up with like random like brainstorm ideas throughout the previous season that we're working on while in parallel writing the current season. And I think for this one, we had some fun ideas. I think I told Scourge early on, like the last season we have to go all out, and I think I said too, I want it to be very artsy, like articulate. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but it wasn't until probably years later after GTA 5 came out on the consoles when Rockstar finally let console players utilize the Rockstar editor. And I think as we were filming Legacies, that wasn't a thing that Rockstar released until like right after we finished Legacies. And so I think that was something that I was thinking about doing, using the Rockstar editor. But here's what's kind of crazy. So originally, I remember telling you this, Scourge, that like filming even just this trailer with the Rockstar editor was such a pain. It was so much work. And then I said, why don't we just use the Rockstar editor in only parts of the episode that need it? Because it's a lot of work. But I don't think it was roughly till I was halfway filming this trailer and as I was editing it, I was like, good lord, I want to make the whole show look like this. Because, like, you know, you only get to film the show once. And I was like, if we're going to go all out, I want it to look cinematic. I don't want it to look like, you know, some dude playing a game on his console anymore. I want it to look like you're actually watching something cinematic. And I think it wasn't until halfway editing this trailer when I decided to make that decision, which I knew even back then, this is going to be so much work, but I knew in the long run it'd be worth it. I think when I told you that, I think that scared you, Scourge. You're like, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like when you commit to it, you're sort of like fucking yourself because you know that you have to keep it at that format then throughout, you know? So you automatically proactively giving yourself work from the beginning.
Yeah, that scared the crap out of you. I remember early on because you were like, oh my lord, Josh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Is that even feasible? And like watching those classic GTA 4 machinimas way back in the day, like wishing I could have done that for, you know, the first couple seasons to even Legacies, wishing I could do that. I knew it was always like a dream of mine that I wanted the saga to look more cinematic like those classic machinimas I used to watch, and I said, damn it, I'm doing it. Sure, I'll hate myself later, but I can cross that bridge when I get to it. So, like I said, about halfway through editing this trailer, I said, fuck it, the whole show is gonna look just like this. And it scared all of us, but I said, it's gonna be worth it. So, Revelations. Like I said, throughout Legacies, you were kind of like sprinkling some ideas what to do. And in terms of like the name Revelations, how did I come up with that? Well, at the time, you know, again, this is way back on like the 360 era, which, good lord, I cannot believe GTA 5 is that old. Anyway, at the time I was playing Assassin's Creed Revelations, and I was enjoying the game, and then something just stuck out to me with the word Revelations, because I knew that everything in this season, it being the last one, was going to come to fruition, and I just like how it sounds almost like biblical. Like all these prophecies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if y'all have read the Bible or not, but there is the last book in the Bible is called Revelation, which basically it encompasses like all of these prophecies just like coming together, and it's the end. It's the definitive end of like everything, and I just love that subtitle. I told Scourge about it, and yeah, he loved it too. So we had no complaints about that. I remember Legacy is just really hard to name, but then Revelations, I was like, actually, I know what to name it, and Scourge was like, all right, cool, I like it.
Yeah, we just kind of went with it. Like there was no thought process. It just kind of, it was fate. It was destiny.
Yeah. I think we knew too that you know, the big reveals were going to happen in this one, and so the revelation of these reveals would happen in this one. I was like, okay, yeah. So to the logo. So Scourge designed it, and I think it looks extremely sick. Scourge, what was your thought process when you made this logo?
Well, before we talk about the logo, I can only really talk about that we made the decision at some point that we wanted to have Jake and Carter be enemies in this part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I don't remember where that came about. I think we were just really into Civil War at the time. You know, because we did the Civil War teaser trailers and such, and we were just like, let's just put these characters against each other, because we've already brought Carter back from the dead. We got to do something with him. And then with the logo, I literally just, because Carter has the skull mask, I just threw a black skull into the logo. I was like, yeah, that looks sick, right? Fuck it. Never minding that he's not even the main antagonist of that series, really. So...
Well, I think you mentioned you love the idea of putting the skull on it, because we were both like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of death in this, at this season.
That is true. It's I don't know how much... I can't even remember at this point if you told me everything you had planned for the Xander character. I mean, this was very in the beginning too. Like this was all early on, so we were kind of like you said, making it up a little bit as we went along.
Yeah, I knew. So I think you tossed the idea around of, there's this being like a brotherly fight, like a Civil War kind of fight between brothers, which I thought was a great idea. But then I think we both knew, yeah, but we don't want Carter to be the main bad guy. That just doesn't feel right. Sure, he can be like a plot point that drives to a bigger plot point. And that's when I started to run around with the idea of, okay, there needs to be a bigger enemy that's gonna surface. And like we said, so some of these ideas we were tossing around years ago. I don't know if y'all saw our episode 10 reaction, but we talked a little bit about this, but we're not even kidding. We had some ideas for this finale that we talked about even before the game came out. Like, remember, we finished Series 3, and then we were talking about, what should happen in the next season or whatever. I think I sort of tossed this around and I said, let's do like 2 seasons or something in GTA 5 and call it there. And I think you agreed. But like the scope would be much bigger and stuff. But I remember some ideas we tossed around was like, because we ended Series 3 with Manny just kind of being out there, doing his own thing. And I thought about, what if we like play around with that a bit? Like, what if we give him like something to do? And me being a big fan of like Star Wars and stuff, I love the idea of like, family members being related to the bad guy in some crazy way, and I just love that aspect of it. Even though I remember I brought the idea to you, Scourge, and you're like, but serum users can't reproduce. And I was like, that's what makes it so shocking. No one's going to see it coming. And so if y'all watch Legacies, there are very, very, very vague clues that lead up to it. Like there's the post-credit scene in Legacies episode 10 where Manny's talking with Steven, and he's very vague, and Steven's like, what's your plan? Manny goes, leverage, and Manny's like, my plan will work because I'll be the one doing it. His plan being, I need to sway my son to stop being insane, basically.
Yep.
So we kind of had some ideas really early on. I think the Xander character itself, I think we came up with during the filming of Legacies. Because I think during the filming of Legacies 2, you also brought up, like, by the end of Legacies, let's have, Carter reveal that he's Cypher, which some are calling out as very obvious. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, we gotta keep the Manny Xander reveal way, way better than that, because just about, like, 95% of people watching Legacies knew Cypher was Carter. And I was like, damn it!
Yeah, it was everything, man. We were too on the nose with him. We like, he's got the hairstyle, he's got the shotgun, he's not speaking, and everyone was like, fucking, his name begins with C and shit.
It was way too on the nose looking back. But I think we did a much better job keeping things under wraps with Manny and Xander.
Yes.
So
100%. Mm-hmm.
I think we did a much better job with that. And so that the whole like idea of Manny having a son and stuff, I think we agreed to do it probably at some point during Legacies. Again, I apologize. This was over a decade ago, so I couldn't really tell y'all that much when we exactly came up with it, but it was some point during Legacies. I know that. So during Legacies, like, okay, cool. We have a name for it. We have a very, 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 very vague idea of what needs to happen in the next one. So cool. So as we get closer to, Revelations being a thing and, with all the challenges that would come that way, then we were like, okay, but we need to actually write out a story. So for every season, what me and Scourge do is we sort of write up like I had this document and I was writing up a synopsis of what should happen in every single episode. That way, by the time we get to it, we know exactly what we're supposed to do, how each episode connects to the next one, and how it connects to the previous one. That way it's very clear what our plan is. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is when you're writing a story in general, you have to know where it's going, where it starts,
Yeah.
where it leads up to, and where it ends. And I think the Carter versus Jake bit in episode 5, that was important to be like the halfway point, because from there, things would sort of like spin on their head. You think, oh, Carter's going to be the main bad guy of the show. LOLJK, Xander's back, he's going to start wreaking havoc and stuff. And so we knew pretty early on, like, the general gist of where the story was going, for the most part. We did have to change some stuff on the way, which we'll get to, but we had a general, like, very vague synopsis of, like, what was going to happen in each episode. Again, not line for line in each episode, like, oh, you know, a character says this line and this line and this line in every single episode, but rather, here's like a 4 to 5 sentence summary of what's going to happen in each episode. We spent a really long time trying to compile all that together, and some of the ideas we came up with that. I think we based a lot of our ideas just on what was possible in the GTA 5, right?
Yeah, because like you said, there was stuff that was added later on for reasons that were more to do with we had more at our disposal. But at the beginning, when we came up with the ideas, we were like, okay, we're using just the Rockstar editor. Let's keep it within scope. So at least there was a concept, but that concept did radically change later on. Big time.
Mm-hmm. So, as with every season, I put this trailer together, you know, that way I had a general, like I said, I had a general idea what was going to happen in each episode. You know, obviously the Xander stuff I was keeping extremely vague. He shows up like twice in the trailer. He doesn't talk or anything, so I kept that very vague. So threw this together after having that generalization of each thing that should happen in every episode. And yeah, that's how
I always thought it was cool, right, in the trailer as well. I was just, because I'm looking at the trailer footage while we speak about it. I always liked how in this trailer you had so many shots of the characters looking like the most effed up they've looked in all the series. You know what I mean? So it automatically let the viewers know that this is going to be the most serious stuff that goes down in the whole story. And the amount of misleading, like you said, with this end shot of Jake and Carter fighting, it was like that was the central focus. But like you said, it's amazingly done how it shifted later on into a completely different story that wasn't even shown in the trailer, basically.
Yeah. It's funny. People thought that Jake and Carter fighting, they thought that was going to be the finale. I remember chuckling with you, Skirt. I was like, he, they have no idea he's coming.
Yeah.
Because, like, the end of Legacy is, you know, when James and his squad go into that alleyway and they see, actually, we have that bit in episode 1 here.
Yeah.
When they, right around... Yeah, let's see. Right here, so this is Legacy's footage where they actually meet Xander, but they don't know that it's Xander. You know, people are like, who is this guy? But what's funny is that so much stuff happens in the show after this, you completely forget about this guy, right? Because the central focus
I'm one
is
of
on
your
Carter.
biggest fans.
And then boom, it cuts to cinematic shots. So yeah, we had general ideas of what was going to happen. I put the trailer together, but then there came the challenge of, all right, time to make the thing. Episode 1, the biggest challenge I had really with the first few episodes, I think it's pretty obvious early on that episodes 1 to 5, very, very parts of it, and 5 and 6 were shot on consoles, the Xbox One console, and that in and of itself was a challenge, because in order to make it, I had to have body actors, which basically means I had to have friends of mine that would join at the same time, at the same day, to film with me, and they all had to be available for a period of time. And then you have to deal with, like, server issues, like people lagging out and stuff, which was a constant issue. Rockstar never got around to fixing that, but that was a constant problem. And then, you know, with the logistics of it, you know, like, I had people in every time zone on Earth that had to join at the same time. You know, I'm in the USA, Scourge is in England. It was a huge pain to get us all together. But then I think for a while, Scourge, you're like, you know what, y'all can just do it without me.
Yeah, I was about to say I had very little to no involvement in those first few episodes that were filmed on console. I was helping like write and stuff and voicing and maybe visual effects and shit. Yeah, but in terms of the recording itself, though, it felt very alien to me to not actually be there for the recording because I always had been, which I suppose is what led to the decision that I made a little bit later to get a little bit more involved. I don't know if we should go into talking about that right now. How it changed from, console recording. What do you think?
Yeah. So basically, the first half of the show or so, something like that. And when we get to episode 5, I'll talk about it more. But it wasn't until right after we finished episode 4 when I got my first gaming PC, and I'll get to that, but like then I had to figure out, how the mods work, how do I do this, how do I do that, and I'll talk about how Scourge showed me how to like spawn in characters as like puppets where I could control them and stuff, and that was always a challenge, but.
That's what one of the things I wanted to kind of segue into was because I felt like I didn't have enough of involvement. I wanted to help out more, and around that time I'd upgraded my PC, and I for the first time I'd started playing it on PC with mods and stuff. So there were some scenes in episode 2 and 3 and stuff that I got to record myself using just mods. And that I think we ended up having another conversation when you got your full rig and full PC, where the conversation was pretty much like, should we just stop using body actors entirely and just do the whole thing on PC?
Yeah, that was definitely... well, once I figured out how to get mods to work on the PC, it was actually significantly easier to just film it on my PC, and I wouldn't have to schedule things with, real life people, and I could just do it on my own time. But, the challenge with that, again, is with mods, they're never perfect. I don't know why. Rockstar is very anti-mod. No clue why, but they are. So, every time the game... We'll get to it, but this was a huge challenge for us. It was every single time the game was updated on the PC, console, etc., but especially on the PC. Even if it was the smallest patch, like a 2 megabyte update, the mods were no longer compatible, and we would have no choice but to wait until the mod community would update the mods to be compatible, and that was a huge challenge. But I'll get to much later on how I was able to figure that out and it no longer be an issue for me personally, which... Trust me, I'll get into that because I'm actually quite excited to talk about that, because that's really how I was able to get episode 10 together without any interruptions. So I'm excited to get to that. But yeah, right around, I think, sometime filming episode 1, or maybe right afterward, Scourge, you got your gaming PC, and then you told me how you got GTA 5 on PC, and then you talked about, like, which means, Josh, I can do mods and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I think you floated this idea around of doing like this Manny backstory scene, which I thought was really cool.
This was all like a big experiment for me, this scene. Like, what are we capable of doing with a modded GTA 5? And I still love this scene, how it turned out. I was like, yes, fucking awesome. Like, we never would have ever been able to do shit like this before on console.
Never.
But it was also, I guess, the end of an era, right? Like, having body actors and shit and working together with people, and no matter good or bad, right? But it was like the end of an era as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, segueing back to episode 1, so I always wanted it to start with like an epic like action sequence, there's like not much context behind it, but I think this intro is strong just because it just puts you into it right away. There's no breathing room, you're thrusted in, And I think if you go from Legacy's episode 10 just to this, you're like, whoa, what is this the same saga? What is going on here? Like, I didn't want it to start slow, which, we thought about, but I wanted to start it with a bang. And I'm like, I just want the audience to be thrusted in. Because I always believe that every story, whether it's from a game, movie, show, I think how your story starts is crucial to sinking the audience in. And I wanted it to start off with this. But, even looking at this scene, I just remember the logistics of trying just to film this scene, because this is on console, no mods. What we had to do was we had to go to, I can't remember the name of the military base in the game. Someone let me know.
Wasn't it Fort Zancudo or some shit?
Fort
I can't
Zancudo.
remember.
Thank you.
I don't know. That might be Red Dead Redemption, I'll be honest.
It's Fort something. And every single one of us had to go there, grab a jet, fly it over downtown, and start fighting. And that was for every single solitary person. And I cannot tell you guys how many times the fucking military base would shoot us down. So just this intro scene with everyone using jets, just the logistics of that being a thing was a pain. But once we got to work, we had a good time. And we also, I think, were like, hey, let's be very careful to not shoot each other down that fast. Because if we do, then we have to go grab another jet. So if you guys just count the number of jets that get destroyed, that means every single time that happens, that person has to go back to the fort, steal a jet, and pray they don't get shot down. Every single time a jet was destroyed. Think about that. That jet scene alone probably took us 3 or 4 hours.
That fucking sucks.
So this scene right here, where it intercuts to like all this and stuff, this was inspired by Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, that movie. If you guys watch that movie, you'll see some similarities here, where the protagonist is kind of staying around in isolation, doing his own thing. He gets like a quick PTSD shock, or before that even, he gets like a phone call from someone saying, hey, so-and-so wants to meet you. So I was inspired by that scene to basically put this together. And what's interesting too about episode 1, I don't know if y'all really noticed this or not, but if you watch it through, you'll notice that Carter's face, except for right there, is not shown until like the very end of the episode after he takes his mask off. Which was a important decision for me. Just to show, like, again, the reveal that he's back was like shocking and stuff. I love that we put that together. Like, after this intro credits and stuff, like during this scene right here, you'll notice like you can see the side of it, but you can't see the full face. That was an intentional thing. So people were very excited to see Alex back, and I'm glad we brought him in. I think that was something important to us.
We kind of Frankensteined him into the story a little bit, because there was going to be obviously a Alpha Protocol plan, which didn't happen. But we were like, screw it, we like this character anyway, so we'll just kind of shift him into Revelations, which was a good choice.
And I predicted too, like how Alex came to be, and Scourge basically confirmed, which I guess we're talking spoilers, we already talked about Manny and Xander, that Kurt created him. And I kind of predicted that early on, just because of the red eyes and stuff. He's like, yeah, that's who he is. And I love that idea. And I didn't want to cut it out. And in Legacies, we had 2.5 characters that were kind of the bad guys, but in this one, the main thing was like, oh, it's Carter, or Alex is kind of neutral. He's on the fence. He's doing it for his own game. But then you also have this, white-haired dude named Xander. So I guess that's 2.5 bad guys. I don't know. He's not really a bad guy. He's just neutral.
Yeah.
He's like the first one that decides to join the good guys. But so going back to like filming this again, was since we're on consoles, we're at the mercy of what the game has. So basically meaning like I can't turn off traffic, I can't turn off pedestrians, and every single time you start shooting, the cops come after you, and what you have to do is you have to call Lester in the game called Turn a Blind Eye for the police, where for like 2 or 3 minutes the cops leave you alone. And we have to do that for every single scene that involves shooting a gun or blowing something up, whatever. Which, calling a blind eye costs like $5,000 in the game, and you have, after you activate it, once it ends, you have to wait, I forgot how long it takes, but you have to wait a few minutes to use it again. So, again, another logistic problem trying to film these fucking scenes, dude. I think we got most of this chase scene down pretty well. I think there was just a couple times where somebody would like crash and blow up and we have to start again, but we didn't have like a pre-planned area where we were going to be chased. I just said, hey, let's just chase. I love that car crash. And that's the thing, sometimes shit would just happen while we were filming, and I'm like, that's freaking cool. I'm glad that happened. It was just sheer luck, you know? Like, that's such a cool shot. That's the big thing too with the Rockstar editor, is every single solitary thing that looks cool I can catch with the Rockstar editor. With filming, just regular, behind the character's perspective, you can't get those shots. So
you were kind of at the mercy of where you were looking, but I actually would say that having these scenes that were console filmed, it increased the possibility of like unexpected shit going on, because there were obviously multiple real people involved. And I feel like maybe some of that was lost later on, but it just means that the cool stuff that you see in the second half of the show was planned so well to be so cool and look the way it was done, because it was perfectly filmed. You know what I mean? Like the stuff on PC was set up to be cool, and some of the stuff on console just randomly happened and was cool.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. The even little things like on the console. So when you're filming on the console using the Rockstar editor, I don't know if y'all have ever used it or anything on the consoles, or anybody watching has used it, but when you're changing the camera perspective, the free cam, there's like this zone that you're contained within. You cannot go past that zone from where your player, the character you're playing as was. So like right now I'm playing as James, right? I cannot go that far away from him because there's like a force field that prevents me from going that far. So like there's this shot right around, let me go back a bit, right here, where you might be wondering how I got this shot if I can't be that far away from someone I'm playing as. I was actually in a helicopter filming this, and then what I did was I, with the Rockstar editor, I just changed the camera, moved it in front of the helicopter. And you'll notice the shadow of the helicopter right there. See?
Oh, yeah.
I tried to cut that out, but I couldn't because it's like almost in the middle. And so I figured, fuck it, we'll just pretend that like James and crew are arriving, so it's fine. But that's how I was able to get some of those shots, is I would have to get in a helicopter, do some of the Rockstar editor recording, and then go back and change the camera perspective. Because that was a challenge on consoles, was you can't be too far away from your playable character. Which meant, yeah, I can get cool shots, but that gave me so many limitations and stuff. On the PC later on, there's a mod where you can get rid of that forced closed area. And that was such a weight lifted off my shoulders. And it gave me so much more free reign. And I think that really goes to show, like, as the series progresses, you're like, man, these shots just get better and better because we were experimenting, figuring things out, getting more mods to work, and just the logistics of behind the scenes stuff in terms of the limitations we had on consoles versus the free reign on the PC. I think you'll see that gradually transition. So
yeah, shout outs to menu and scene director, dude. Great mods. And I'm pretty sure that you also had, because you were saying there was the render distance on the console version of Rockstar Editor. I think we undid that on PC, didn't we? So you had full distance.
Yeah.
But it also meant that you had like a super powerful rig that could render that far, while you could like render a million things at once.
Yep. And the other thing too is, Rockstar says that, it's GTA 5 is going to run at 1080p on Xbox One. No, it doesn't. It runs at like 9:20 or something. And so if you look at the episodes like in the later half of the show, I filmed those in 2K. I rendered them in 1080p, but they were filmed in 2K. And then episode 10 was filmed in 4K, but I'll get to that because good lord. But I think you're always limited by the resolution that you're filming in, which I still think the quality's decent for what it is, but looking back at these, my biggest nitpick with these, again, because they're on console, is how like jittery characters move around and stuff. Because when we're filming on our PCs, you probably picked this up by that scene in episode 2 with Manny, is how much more crisp they move around, because it's filmed on a PC where there's no frame rate limit, versus on a console there is. So I think that crispness, it's more smoothing on the eyes to watch, I think.
Yeah.
Versus like, you just saw like the previous scene where they're moving around like
yeah. I did also want to say, looking at some of these scenes, it reminds me of how I'd say not only visual effects and stuff improved as it went on, but sound editing I really enjoyed doing in these early episodes. I remember that I put in like so many additional sounds that weren't just the game sounds. I was having a lot of fun playing around, so there's so many little stupid noises that I look back on, I'm like, why did I go that far? Like somebody drops a banana peel or something and you can hear it. Like every tiny little thing has like a sound effect in this. But it was also the first time we started using big hit impact effects for the enhanced, right?
Yeah.
Big light effects and stuff. This was where it began, right here in this scene.
You played it a little bit in Alpha Protocol, but I think this one is where we really went all out.
Yeah.
And like
this was the one where we had a sound effect in Alpha Protocol, but in this we did a full effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which it looks, even like, that little effect you did with Alex shooting, because you wanted to do not just the sound, but some of the visuals too, with like little things. Like, look at Alex on the turret, like that looks cool. But then some of these shots, like right here, why the fuck did I do that? That looks so stupid. But I try to give myself some leeway because this is episode 1. We're experimenting, really trying to see what works, what doesn't work. Even the trailer, like when Jake and Carter are fighting, there's way too many cuts. Which it looks far better in the actual episode when they do fight, but some shots I'm like, why the hell did I do that? That looks weird. But you live and learn, right? You live and learn. But I do enjoy this scene though quite a bit. It's fun to watch. So
security guy, sorry.
Yeah. So speaking of this, actually now that we're about to get to it, Scourge, you want to talk about a little fun Easter egg you try to sneak in?
Yeah. You can barely see it in this scene. It's when the keypad's shown. So long story short, there's a couple of it's there somewhere, but it's like a frame, man. There's a couple of really subtle Bruno Easter eggs that occasionally Bruno was here will flash up in certain episodes in certain places, or his name or something like that will show up. I just swore for a split second. I don't know why I started doing this. I think we just kind of were talking about Bruno's. Oh, no, it was because we started doing the Bruno blog around this time, right? The Bruno's Awesome blog or whatever the hell it was. I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, which was like another way to promote the episodes at the time. And I just thought it'd be a fun little joke thing to throw in. I think I would be spending way too long trying to remember each episode where I put them. I'll probably bring it up as we go along. But just to say now, at some point, a video will definitely go up highlighting all of the Bruno Easter eggs, because there are some that I don't even think you know about, Josh.
I don't think so.
So
I want to say I do, but I can't say any of them have slipped past me.
Eventually, I will do a video for that, and you can put that up. You can see all the Bruno references.
I would love that. For the fans get a kick out of that. Yeah. So this scene was quite a bit of fun to film as well, just because whenever this is just me and then the friends playing and stuff, and you guys might have probably picked up on this, but like these guys are shooting at. It's the way it's cut together looks like there's, you know, they're constantly getting new people come after them. But if you look at the models, they're the same people over and over again. They're killing. But the way it's edited, it looks like they're killing, you know, new people every time. Which later on, again in the show, is for every single like fight scene, I wanted to switch up like how the enemies look. Like the zombies, I try to make look different and stuff every time they started to fight them. Sometimes I would give them like a mask, but just change up their clothes a bit. That way I wouldn't have to do, you know, switch it around too much. But the yeah, that was the thing on the consoles, was like a lot of times the enemies are fighting look the same, but the way that it's cut, it looks like they're fighting new people. So again, console limitations, just little things like that. I think actually for this scene, I think we wanted to try to go inside of the building again, but Rockstar fucking patched that. Like there was a glitch that we did in Legacies to get inside the building. They patched it and we couldn't get in there anymore. We said, fuck it, we're just gonna have to do it on the outside. I think that was a something in the script I had to change as we were filming it, which was Scourge Carter's gonna run up to this garage and the parts in there. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yep.
No choice.
Random garage, yeah.
Random improvisation right there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the voice actors early on, we opened up like a casting call, and that Scourge set up a page for that, and then we had a lot of auditions. Actually, went through each one and then picked who I think would work. We'll talk about like various reasons why we had to switch some as the show went on. The gist of it was the previous ones just were no longer available, but yeah, I think the early voice actors we had did a fairly decent job. Actually, I could tell that they were into the project and stuff. So now that we're on like this scene, Scourge, I'm curious, how did you? I think you were the one that came up, because like we wanted a MacGuffin of some kind, but we, you know, we're throwing around the idea of like, okay, why exactly would Carter fight his own brother? What's the motivation there? And yes, there's going to be a bad guy, but I don't want it to be a very boring, I want to take over the world kind of plot. I mean, yeah, he does, but how is he going to do that exactly? And so I think, Scourge, you came up with not only the name, but the premise of the osmosis device.
I think I did, but I couldn't tell you how I did. It's been a while now, man. I don't know how the name came about, but it just sounded so perfect to me. I think part of the inspiration for osmosis device was, for anyone who's like an old COD Zombies fan from like the Black Ops days, there was a map called Ascension, and there was a weapon you can use called the Gersh device. And I just thought device sounded really cool at the end of it for some sort of weapon. And then I slapped osmosis on there, and that's how the name happened. But yeah, I wanted there to be more of a less superficial reason for them to fight. It's not that they want to fight, you know? It's just they have different clashing ideals, which was teased many times throughout back in Series 3 and stuff. So I think it was like a question of who thinks they are right. There's always villains that come along and do like overtly villainous shit, and they're like, I'm awesome, I'm doing the right thing. But you're like, no, you're not. We wanted this to be sort of a grey, vague kind of area where the viewer would be like, I do see his point though, but I see the other side's point as well. And that's where the whole thing spanned from, But like you said, it was also just the MacGuffin, right? It was the thing they're chasing after. We're going to get this thing, so on, so on.
That was I think a central plot point was like what drives the part in each episode, not just like, ooh, character comes back to life when they have to fight. Like, why are they doing what they're doing? Like, why are they doing it? What are they going after? What's their goal? Why are they working together, etc.? And I think having this central plot point around a physical thing being the osmosis device, which, as we came up with the idea of it, because I actually like the name. I don't know if you'll know the definition of osmosis, but it's like a biological chemistry thing. It's like a process of which molecules pass through membranes and from a less concentrated solution into a more concentrated solution, or just a more vague definition is the process of like a gradual assimilation of ideas or knowledge coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sort of plays into, okay, what does it do exactly?
Yeah.
And then I think we were like, okay, well, let's have it be this thing where Nepo created it, and they created it because they've been fighting. Yeah, for the most part, that got rid of the zombies in Series 3, but Procasium was still out there, and there's like, off-tangent zombies somewhere else causing problems. And by that point, it was just, there were sprinkles of the infection all over the globe, when they're like, this is not feasible to go around and take them out one by one, it's just not working. We need a way to take out all Procasium at once, but how do we do that? So they came up with this idea to create a machine that would just blanket the world in like anti-Procasium stuff. As you can imagine, that sounds extremely complicated and convoluted, so they scrapped the idea. But they already, approved the budgeting for it, and they started to build it. Like I said, it was too complicated, and so they scrapped it. But because of the way it was built, the parts for it are indestructible. So they couldn't just, throw them in a trash can and call it a day. They would have to scatter them all over the world in various locations and keep them out of the hands of bad guys. Because I think I floated that idea around that, yes, the osmosis device was originally planned to use as like anti-Procasium, but what if someone got their hands on it, hacked it, or reprogrammed it to use it in a different way? And that's where Carter's motivation comes in, which is, look, our world sucks. Let's turn everyone into like enhanced. That way everyone's like super strong, super fast. They don't get sick anymore, yada yada. But I also wanted the idea of Carter's plan in theory sounds interesting, but it's flawed. That was important to me. And then Jake's idea of let's just get rid of it is also kind of flawed if you think about it. Because Procasium needs to go, and it's just their current plan of fighting it over and over and over and over is not working. So his plan of just get rid of it also doesn't work. And that was important to me, was to see both sides, and as a viewer, you don't know whose side to take, if you think about it. Like, who's right? There isn't really a right solution. There's like, pick the lesser of two evils. But which one is the more evil one? You don't know.
I think in general, we were trying to also imply that the osmosis device was just straight up dangerous. Like, with the president keeping it a secret, and he knew that if it would fall into wrong hands, it could cause, like, at the end of the fucking world, and we wanted to make that very clear. So, I think, I suppose even now I would say Jake was just the more sensible one all round. Jake was like, we shouldn't risk this shit. Carter was like, take the risk, screw it, you know? Yeah.
That's the thing, too, about Carter. He's a no BS guy. He's no half measures. Right, he's full measure guy. You see that in Series 3, where he's like, look, Manny's infected, he's gone, let's kill him and end it. Just end it. And Jake is like, no, there has to be a way to save our friend, which is sensible and noble, but Carter's like, no, end it. Like, he's very, like, take action kind of guy, just do it kind of character. And that sort of builds up into them fighting it out later on, which I gotta say, I absolutely love this ending scene in episode 1 with them talking. I think it's done really well because it starts with the shock that Carter's back. He explains what happened to him, which is very tragic and stuff. How Keon used him for his personal experiments and things, and they talk pretty calmly for most of the scene. And Carter very calmly explains what his plan is and why he's doing it. They get a little bit of emotional tension when Jake tells Carter that he found Meryl and told her what happened to him.
I mean, Jake is more like in the realistic sense. Jake was just like, "How dare you keep your existence away from me?" He was angry at him. There was that very realistic rage of like, if a family member like pretended they were dead for 30 years, that's some serious stuff.
That idea was pulled straight from the GTA 5 single player story, where Michael kept his death secret from Trevor. So we sort of were inspired by that. There's other stories that have done that too, but that was the main point of thing that I used it from. So I love the idea that they're not just gonna be. He's not just gonna be happy and want to sing Kumbaya with him. It's you've been alive for 30 years. And you didn't tell me. That's kind of a fucked up thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
But at this point, Carter is like, look, I found one part for the device. It took me over a decade. I really need help to find the other one. I don't want to have to wait for too long to get it. And who has connections to Nepo? Well, I can't go to James because he would resent me forever, which is sort of hinted throughout the show that Carter, even though despite what he does, he secretly really cares for James, almost like he's his son. But he's like, who else has connections to Nepo? Well, that'd be Jake. Fuck it, I have no choice. I have to reveal who I am to him and ask for his help. So, and then, this scene, it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. Their ideas start clashing. And then, Jake just outright says, no, I refuse. I'm not helping you with this. This is crazy. But Carter, his own motivation is overcoming, Jake's opinion. And so that's when he's like, all right, well, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Revenge of the Sith quote.
Etc.
And from there, they're basically fighting it out. It all came to this.
It felt very strange and surreal at the time. I remember that. It felt weird to kind of like record the argument scene between them because we got like really into it and stuff. It was just kind of it was like the advancement of that Series 3 argument, but like times 10,
Yeah. Which, speaking of like dialogue and talking and stuff, I want to bring this up real quick. So, a criticism I received throughout the show is as characters talk in the game, their mouths don't move. And I've explained this many times, but I'll just bring it up again now in case y'all are wondering again. So, that was a creative decision by me, which was to just you could hear the people talk, but their faces in the game, their mouths don't move. There's a big reason for that. So, I've watched countless GTA 5 machinimas where they do have their mouths move, all the character talks, but not even 9 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, the dialogue does not match the mouth. Like, the way their mouths move. And plus, I hate the way the mouths move in the game. It looks like they're trying to chew on the world's biggest gobstopper. They're like... and it does not match what they're saying at all. The other problem with that is, again, because we're pre-recording the lines, we're not, recording them when we're playing the game, it'd be impossible to match up like what someone is saying with their mouth in the game. We tried that really early on in Legacies. It was a complete and utter failure, and I said, we're not doing this, fuck it. And since then, I haven't done that. And so, that's been really like the only main criticism I received, but I hope that by explaining that, given the challenges, the logistical problem with that makes sense. And it made things significantly easier for me to put it together. So, yes, I could have done it. Personally, I think, like, you wouldn't take, because this is a serious story, right? I don't think you would take any of this stuff seriously if Jake right here was like, like, you kept your existence, from me for 30 years, and you just see him go, like, he would just be giggling the whole time. He looks silly. So, but, again, going back to the PC stuff, is, with mods, we could actually give characters certain expressions given certain parts that would happen in the scenes, which we'll get to later on, which I totally took advantage of for sure. But we'll get to that. But yeah, I think this first episode is very strong. Besides, some shots that look kind of silly. I hate that it's capped at 30 FPS, but overall, I think it's really, really well done. And I think it ends strongly. When Jake's like, so begins, brother, and he walks away. Great stuff.
Definitely.
This is also the first time we see Like, once it ends, you see like credits come up. And the reason I did that was not only for it to feel more like you're watching something on TV, because almost every TV episode has this, but I also wanted to give a lot of credit to the people that are helping us, like the voice actors and stuff. And I want to make sure they get their credits worth and everything that they did. So that was important to me to, shout out to them for every single time, because they all did a pretty good job. So I think that was important to me. But I do not like this font that I used. I was trying to be like, oh, let's be kind of edgy and stuff, but it's the text is too thick. And unfortunately, I used this until episode 5. Episode 6, I no longer use it. I use like a thinner text so it was easier to read, but I don't like how this text looks. But that's just a nitpick. So episode 2, again, we're just kind of moving things along here. With this modded scene that you filmed with Manny, and then I think that was important for us, was we wanted to bring, because the fans kept asking us, because they were absent in Legacies, to bring back the Legacy characters, which was important, again, and we knew where this was heading, so...
That was one of the things that pissed me off when we recorded Legacies. I was like, where the hell are Justin and Manny, man? I want to know where they are.
Yeah. I guess I was like, well, if I bring them in, they're going to be too essentially focused versus like the new characters like James and Maya and stuff, because I wanted to bring them up so that people would care about them.
That is true.
People already care about Manny. They already care. But they want to know,
because you had all of Legacies to establish the new characters before it got to Revelations and it turned into the Jake and Carter show.
Yeah. I mean, that was intentional because, we saw a glimpse of Jake in Legacies, but I wanted to dive into him more. Because, like, a character is going to evolve over time, and we didn't really because we kind of got the idea that Jake's kind of a badass and stuff, but we didn't see that in, like, full fruition until Revelations, and so I think that was a big thing for me, was I want him to be like the central character behind this, who's driving the story forward and stuff. So but yeah, episode 2, I don't remember us having that many problems filming this, but again, this was years ago, so I could be totally wrong. Like this scene here, thankfully my buddy Justice has a yacht that we filmed this on, and so we just went into a random room, we sat down, and you honestly can't even really tell it's on a yacht.
Yeah, you know what? Nice. You saying it was on a yacht is the first I'm hearing of this. I had no idea this was filmed on there. I thought this was a building. I was like, where did you film this?
In a yacht, yeah. I think you can't tell that because which I think I went too overboard with the, actually, I don't know. Did you put this filter on? I don't know if you or I did.
No, I think you did.
I think I did, yeah. And it's too much. I should have turned it down. Because, like, this is supposed to take place in the 2040s. Why is the TV quality so bad?
Yeah, they've got CRTs in 2040.
Confirmed.
Well, you see, the analog revolution, it was a whole future, it was retrofuturism. The retro was in during the 2040s, so of course the CRT filter's back.
It makes sense to me.
And it's so funny. So, like, like people may not even pick this up, but if you change just the hair color and the style of a character, you won't notice that they have the same face as someone else. So, like, this Catherine actor is the same one as Maya. Right, it's played by Justice because he had a female playable character, but again, because of console limitations, we couldn't just spawn whoever we wanted to. Right, you could create multiple GTA Online characters, but you couldn't just seamlessly switch between them. You have to leave the game, switch over to the other character that you have, and then get back into online, which. Bless you, Justice, for doing that. I know that was a lot of work, and he didn't level up his female character that much, and I was like, you don't need to. Oh yeah, this scene, Scourge, you filmed. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
with like, I know there's like a Bruno Easter egg right here.
There's a Bruno one here. Let's see it. It's like for a split second again the text changes.
There it is.
The scene is super awesome.
I love that.
I love that.
Where'd you get this news effect at the bottom? That's actually really clean looking.
I'm not sure if it was pulled from something, maybe a template, or if I just put it together from two different objects. But I know I put the text in there. I know that.
I just think it's so funny how Jake just dives down.
He yeets himself out of there. Like, see you guys.
Yeet! Like, what's... You're diving into a highway, my guy. What's the plan? It's Jake. He's like Batman. He always has a plan. But, yeah, I think it was also important, now that we're looking at these characters, as I said, Discouraged, even before Revelations, let's have the characters best themselves. And what do I mean by that? I want every character to have their own motivations, their own goals, to have their own unique personalities and stuff, and play out the other characters really well. And I just want to give them a lot to do. And I think throughout watching the show that you'll see each character has a lot to do. I remember when you brought on the female voice actors, the one for Charlene, for example, she had like one line in episode 1, and I felt so bad because she did a really good job and I wanted to give her more to do. And so this scene we came up with as we were writing the episode 2, which was to have like this interview, and I think it was a cool way to like establish, you know, more about who Charlene was, how she's, you know, unconditionally devoted to Jake despite everything that's been happening and stuff. And I think it's a good strong way to like introduce her character.
Especially considering Charlene has been mentioned since like series 3, so it's like if she finally gets screen presence and has like stuff to do in the story.
She gets to talk, she gets to do things. It's great. You know, I love how like we had these characters that just sort of showed up for a bit, but now they are fully fleshed out characters that talk, have personalities and stuff. I think that was really important to me, which, yeah, that of itself was a challenge because you have to get a voice actor for every single solitary character, which we'll get into more, but there's some times where like a background character I would have to voice, change my sound of voice up a bit, or, you know, Scourge too. That was always a thing. Endmeister, being super talented that he is, sometimes he would voice a background character for us, like, or even like a side character. Thank you so much. Like Father Clyde in episode 8. That was because I was looking around. I was like, where am I going to find an old man voice that can do this? Who's okay with saying these lines? Who's talented at doing it? And then I think when you read the script in Meister, you're like, you know what? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. It was actually my idea to give him the southern drawl, despite the fact that, you know, living in the middle of California. So I just justified it as, you know, okay, he's from the South.
Yeah,
and
that works.
With that, I was actually mimicking an old teacher of mine who he was very extreme whenever he was making a big presentation to the class. He spoke down here to grab our attention. So I made that a little older and added a little bit of the southern drawl to it, and there you go. You've got Father Clyde.
It's so good.
It's funny how so many people that watched this episode had no idea that you were voicing him until I told them.
I didn't. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It also helped that you digitally lowered the voice, like,
just a little bit.
Just a little bit, because I do not have that deep of voice. But it did help. But at the same time, when I hear it, I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me talking to that's me talking to Dale.
Love it. For episode 2, yeah, I mean, episode 1 taught us a lot in terms of like how to put it together and stuff, and we just kind of did the same thing with episode 2. You know, we you know, had the whole script planned out. We knew, because like by this point the game was out for, or online was out for like 3 years, so we knew the ins and outs of the map. You know, Rockstar, the various updates, gave us more interiors to go inside of, and as we were writing the script, we, you know, wanted to think about what interiors we could use, what locations to film in. And so I think, yeah, given that, having that plan really helped us out quite a bit. And so I don't remember a whole lot of other challenges filming this episode apart from like the forest battle, which we had with these guys. For some reason, friends of mine wanted to have all the soldier guys kind of look the same. They gave them like these Hawaiian shirts. But again, this is so early. Well, not early on in online, but this is before Rockstar gave us like way more clothing choices. Very surprisingly, there was no jacket that had camouflage on it in the game at this point. None. Isn't that crazy?
That is strange, yeah. I mean, it was played off, though, and you might as well say, why are the military using gold-encrusted military machine guns? You know, it's just one of those game-isms that you kind of go with, and you don't notice it in the heat of the moment and the speed of the scene anyway, so it's fine.
It's the military showing off taxpayer dollars.
There you go. It's funny looking at this, too. Like this is just a bearded James.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I tried to hide it, but again, because of the limitations on consoles, where once you create your character, you can't really change how they look apart from, their hair and stuff, so... Okay.
I wanted to also, while we have the chance, because I've never got to bring some of this stuff up before, but during the James dream sequence with Keone and stuff, which was, again, it's something else we were leaning into, right? We were wanting to show more of James' psychology and so on. I remember when I did this this Keone bit, I remember thinking, this is the best I've ever made Keone sound, because when I look back on Legacies, sometimes I think I made him sound like Transylvanian or something, like Dracula. But in this scene, he actually sounded Russian. But I was like, of course it's the scene where he's fucking dead. I make him sound Russian.
Hey, the afterlife makes you sound more Russian, I guess. There you go. We filmed this by having, in the game, I forgot what feature it is, but you can make yourself kind of like invincible to other players, but you turn and like kind of transparent when you do that. That just tells other players that, hey, this person, I forget what the term is, but, passive mode. That's what it is, passive mode, where they're transparent. That's how you're able to film this. But, yeah, Scourge, how did you... Because it was actually your idea to have James with, like, this, psychiatric schizophrenia, like, mental condition. I remember you came up with that. I'm not sure how, but that was your idea, I remember, originally.
Yeah, I think part of the inspiration was just... It was that I've known people and stuff in, like, family terms who have had, like, certain disorders and so on. And I thought it would just be very interesting to have a character be that vulnerable and have something that you would never expect, wrong with them. Because James seems like totally sound of mind and headstrong and stoic. But it's cool, right, that he's got this weakness. He's struggling, and he's a human being. And I thought that would be really cool. Because he's the younger of the group anyway. He's one of the youngest ones. So... And you'd never expect Jake's son, of all people, to have such a condition. But when you really think about it, think of the shit that he's seen. Think of what he's been through and how hard his life has been. No wonder he has that kind of condition. So you really feel for him. And I love that we built upon that.
Yeah, I think you told me, I remember you saying, like, early on that, look, we shouldn't have James just be a Jake 2.0. He needs to be his own guy, right? Like, Jake has been through some shit, but he's like a hardened veteran by this point. Shit doesn't really affect him. James is young, right? He was thrusted into this role of like Procasib and stuff in his early 20s. Didn't know how to deal with it, and then Eli, who, was his close friend, died in front of him, and all that stuff, and then he's going through all this other traumatic shit, and all this stress is on his shoulders, like, hey, you went from being a criminal for most of your life just for trying to find your dad, and you weren't letting the law stop you, to now you're being put in charge of like this shadow organization, and all this stress is put on you to like figure out how to stop this infection because your dad obviously has a lot of experience in doing it, so they just assume that he does too. But seeing all that death and stuff that young and inexperienced does something to your psyche. I just love the idea of like James can't cope with this, and it's gonna get worse and worse. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
But kind of like how I filmed these scenes here. So for Legacies, I had a capture card. It was kind of crappy, but I was able to capture the scenes that way. For Revelations, these first few episodes, I got a upgraded capture card. That's why the quality looks a bit better. And so what we would do is we would film the scenes. As we're filming them, I would have the Rockstar editor in-game recording the scenes. Then I would go through each of those scenes I recorded in the game with the Rockstar editor mode. I would put all the shots together. And then after that, once that was done, I would go onto my computer. I would start, capturing my TV screen. And then as these scenes are playing, I would have that capture card recording at that point turned on and record all over the cinematic shots. In between all of these, like, this is also a thing on PC too. It was more of a little inconvenience, but it wasn't that annoying. Rockstar Editor only lets you record for like a couple minutes or so at a time. So given that, like every now and then, you would see like this black screen with like, Rockstar Editor and like next scene loading and stuff. Every single time that popped up, I would have to edit that out. Yeah. And so given that, the number of clips I had, even just for the first episode, was huge. Can only begin to imagine how many I had for the finale, and even like episode 9, episode 8, etc. Thankfully, though, PC, again, I was able to get around that, but within the game, there's actually a limitation on how many clips you can have, which is 800. You can't have more than 800 clips at a time. But what I was able to do to get around that was by manipulating the game files. I created a new folder. I put those already recorded Rockstar clips I had, put them into that folder, went back into the game, recorded the other clips that I needed, and then when I was done with those, I would swap them out. I would go back into the game, put the cinematic shots together for the Rockstar editor, get those recorded and put onto my computer so I had all the footage, and then do the same thing, swap out the subsequent clips I had into the game folder, do the same thing. So while I was scared about that early on, I remember there was actually a guy I found on Reddit who had the exact same issue I did, and most people are like, why the hell do you need more than 800 clips? But I was like, well, I do! Come on, man! But then someone told him, hey, you can just move the files around in that folder, so I can't remember, obviously it was years ago, but that Reddit guy that I found, thank you so much, he saved me a lot of headache. But on the consoles, that wasn't really a thing I ran into yet, because not only were these episodes much shorter, but well, that's the main reason why is they're much shorter. So, but this forest scene, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Just looking at this forest scene, because I was looking at Gordon, I was looking at Ivan, and I was thinking, dude, honestly, I think from Legacies onward, I think we just had like a boner for characters not liking each other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just think about teams that fucking dislike each other.
I think it's a way we try to build character arcs, is at first they're at odds, but then they start to like each other later on.
Yeah, for sure.
Which kind of started to happen with Gordon and Yvonne, but, not as much, but that's okay.
Not as much. But yeah, the forest scene. Please go ahead. Give me some forest logistics.
Forest logistics. Well, this is years and years ago, so it's hard to really get into that much, but I remember playing around with the filters in the Rockstar editor in this one, called like the Scary Night theme or whatever. I really liked it. But the problem with this filter is, for some reason, it makes faraway stuff like very blurry. Like it turns up the depth of field way too high. So what looks cool in the forefront, it's hard to see what, like right there. It's kind of hard to see. And again, the problem is I can't move the camera too far away from James because of that stupid force field that I can't move the free cam too far away from. It's really annoying. I think it was like a 30-40 yard radius, something like that. And so that really, because like I would love to have, you know, like that shot where that zombie was shooting out in the distance, or right there even. I would love to just bring it closer so you can see what the fuck the zombie looks like and what they're doing, but I can't because of the fucking limitations. You know? Yeah. Sometimes I would literally have to, while we were filming, I would have to take my character, run right up close to that person that you wanted to see, film it, and then when I put the shot together, make it so that you don't see James or whoever in the shot right next to them. So stupid. But that's what had to be done. But yeah, the thing with the Berserker in this scene, how we got this to work by shooting at them and them not dying, is the game has a mechanic called your crew. So on your crew, there's an option where you can turn friendly fire off. So who's ever in your crew, no matter what you do, they can't die, which is really nice. So that gave us the advantage of, we can shoot them, shoot rockets at them, burn them. They don't lose health. So that's how we were able to do this. I love this shot too, where boom, Carter appears.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But again, too many cuts right here, Josh. Come on, dude.
Carter punched him directly in the nuts then as well. 100%. He did like an upward fist in the dig.
I like how you give him a punch, he starts to, you know, glow, and then he kicks him down and falls over. I think you wanted to have an idea whenever a Berserker dies, they have like that glow effect happen.
Yeah, I just figured because they're so powerful, right? There should be like a big, you know, release. So it was fun. All these little artistic choices. Yeah.
And then this confrontation too, and this pivotal scene where Carter is like, look, this whole thing wasn't me. I can't prove it, but this infection starting up again wasn't me. And then the you know, the characters getting like to interact with them for the first time, like Yvonne, James, Gordon, you know, that's pretty cool. And then Jake being like, you know, when he shows up later on, that he's gonna take it from here. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's pretty much that one.
Great episode all around.
And then where things really kicked up a notch was episode 3, where we loved the idea of bringing Manny back, and then I said to Scourge, why don't we just tease the idea that Justin's coming back as well? And I remember way back, even before Legacies, like, we didn't plan on even doing anything like this, but we just loved the idea of, like, you know, Justin being in a jail, and then him, like, climbing the ranks inside the prison, and then all of a sudden, like, these guys in these suits just show up and then just offer him something, and then he just leaves with them, and you don't know what happens to him.
I think we did talk about that, yeah.
I had no idea that eventually we would actually be able to film that, and I'm so glad we got to. Like, these little ideas that we just thought about years and years ago that just sort of floated around the back of our mind, we didn't know we would actually be able to do. And the fact that we did makes me so happy.
I think, again, this was a lot of experimenting. I think I filmed most of this, I think.
You did, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Again, this was so long ago, and the changing license plates and stuff, because the idea of him, he were going to work for Goldtech, essentially, that I think that was you and me that came up with that.
Yeah.
You know, we'd always said that, like, what happened to Justin? We originally were like, maybe he just died, and we were like, nah, that's too lame. Maybe he just disappeared mysteriously when we had the whole prison idea. So this was fun to kind of insert it, but take it to like the next level of like, oh no, Justin's like running Goldtech now.
Yeah.
You know, that villain organization. Now Justin runs it.
Yeah, and you might imagine, like, why are they making like a drunk, crazed maniac run it? But these guys are like, look, it's kind of like what a lot of corporations do, I think, is they have like this person, like this forefront person that advocates for them, who just sets things off the teleprompter, but behind the scenes they're kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so it's par for course, I think. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to film this, in all honesty. And then one of my favorite fight scenes in the show is actually coming up here when the Nepo headquarters gets attacked. I think that this scene just amps up the stakes to 11, like to show how much more powerful the zombies are. Because for the most part, when you watch the show, characters don't win fights a lot. They don't. Unless they get help from like an enhanced or something, they don't really win against the infected that much. I think it just goes to show how much more of a bigger threat they are this time around. I think that was important for us to do. Like, this is the last season, and let's make the stakes as high as they can go. And I remember too, like, I wanted to develop the world a lot more because, you know, they talked about the Nepo organization and stuff and legacies, but I was sort of intrigued by like the political climate that we created for it, with like the president showing up in legacies, but I love the idea of like developing more upon that. And so we came up with the Nepo board of directors, who are like these people that, you know, kind of lead the whole organization behind the scenes, and, you know, have like the audience look at them and go, wow, for being in such high authority, you guys are so stupid. But like, it's kind of par for course, isn't it? Like, these suits, literally these suits, who know nothing about like the ins and outs of what actually goes on, think they know what's best, but they don't, and it causes a lot of problems. They suspend James, they you know, make the wrong decisions and stuff. So I remember too, as I was writing this script, I'm like, man, I can't stand these characters. They're fucking pompous pricks. And I said, you know what?
2 episodes, you're dead.
I was like, hey, Scourge, I want them to die brutally. And literally the male board director gets burned to death. Goodness.
It's like catharsis for us, wasn't it?
And then like when the female one dies, there's like what, like 20 shots of her getting exploded in the car, like right here.
Yep.
I think you had a lot of fun filming this.
It was great, man.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think it's worth talking about now while this is a good time for it as well. The Incendiary, a new infected, right?
Yes.
One of the coolest ones for sure.
That was actually an idea our friend Justice, who was like joking around, said, you know, we have like berserkers, we had, you know, zombies that can move fast, and what we're gonna have next, fire zombies. And I was like, that sounds cool. And then I told Scourge about it, and he was like, hey Josh, guess what? There's a mod that I can use where zombies can breathe fire. I'm like, fucking excuse me? I'm like, do it.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
You made a short tease for it. This little bits you recorded, go back to it real fast.
Used here in the episode, yeah.
Which I thought was really freaking sweet.
To me, I remember I just recorded this as a proof of concept, though. I was like, I just want to show you how we could make this work, but then you ended up integrating it into the actual episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was fully edited, and it had music and sound effects and everything. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of the sound effects, you guys might be wondering, where did you get the sound effects for the Incendiary from? And then Scourge was asking me, like, what should he sound like? So being a big fan of Lord of the Rings, I was like, just make it sound like the Balrog from Fellowship. And yeah, we found sound effects for the Balrog from Fellowship, and I'm like, just use that. And then Scourge loved it too. So that's it.
That's how he sounds.
But I do like this Nepo headquarters attack fight scene, because it goes on for a while. What I like about it too is, like, you know, there's a lot going on. It seems like big in scope and stuff. It goes to show how much bigger of a threat the zombies are getting. And, you know, again, what we had to do was we had to call, this is actually a government facility in the game, so what you have to do, and because as soon as you start shooting, cops come after you. And I tried to cut it out, or like move it away from that and stuff, but throughout this scene, sometimes you'll see a destroyed cop car in the background, because even though we called the cops, or we prevented the cops from getting onto us, you know, because I tried to, okay guys, in 3, 2, 1, call Lester, and we have to do it all at the same time. Sometimes though, we went a little bit overboard, and then we kept shooting when the blind died, timeout was over, and then like a cop or two would show up. we had to kill them and then get away from them. It was a whole thing, but little thing to keep in mind. But
sounds awful. This was also a scene where you were filming it on your side with console, and I was filming some of the PC stuff. We were fusing it. It worked together so great, you know, like time of day, everything about it. What do you mean? What?
So, hold on. So, for the most part, I agree. But like, look at this. So it's daytime, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right now. And then, like, what's going on here? It's daytime outside. And then, they're like, what's going on? And then, nighttime.
Holy shit, guys. The sun exploded.
so someone pointed that out in the comments. I think, and I'll put the blame probably just on me, just because I don't know if I communicated it to you well enough. That, like, you know, what time of day these scenes should take place. I did tell you, though, with like the scenes that you filmed during this attack scene later on were during the day and it was raining. That's why it's so seamless. But that earlier scene wasn't, I think, because I don't know, maybe you just assumed it was at night. I cannot remember why.
I don't know what happened, but it's unfortunate that it did. Yeah, because it's almost perfect.
Yeah, and I think the gist of that is, again, because of the console limitations, you can't pause the time of day. You're at the mercy of what the game gives you. But when on PC, you can control the weather, the time of day, which Scourge is able to do. I couldn't, because I was on console. So, is what it is. But I love right here where James runs, and then boom, he runs right here. I love how that's intercut. It's really hard to tell when it's being filmed on console and when it's not. But I think looking back, you can kind of tell because of you know, the frame rate is a little bit improved. But I remember you would always ask me like, "Hey, what are the characters wearing in this episode?" And then I would send you a picture of it. And you know, on PC, you can control like what clothes they wear and stuff. So. Speaking of which, you also designed not only the incendiary but the frantic as well, didn't you?
The new frantic, yeah.
Which looks so much better.
It was the spur of the moment decision, I think, to have him even in the episode at all. I just thought it would be cool because again, these new abilities we had with modding, to see these things done with these new effects, with this new way of filming. I just figured, why the hell not? And it was very cool. It's also neat to see James just get the absolute shit kicked out of it.
Yeah. Like, you really see characters like in peril. Yeet! I love that. Like, yeah, because we haven't seen stakes like this, where characters really get their asses kicked and you see in full cinematic fashion. It's good shit. Yeah, and like, he looks deadly. He doesn't look human. You know, the biggest thing is like how the eyes look and how the skin looks and stuff, and I don't know why, I just love like the breathing mask that you give him.
Yeah, like cool. Maybe he needs it to move that fast or something, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's well put together, and I also, like I said, when I say I want a character to best themselves, is I kind of want each character in the story to have like their own unique talents. Like, Gordon's always smart with, like, you know, biochemistry and medical science and, you know, technology in general and stuff. Yvonne, damn good sniper. And I float the idea around, what if he's so good at sniping that he can literally kill something from like miles and miles and miles away? And while that sounds ridiculous, I think this taking place like in the near future gives us a lot of leeway in terms of what we can and can't do. Like in Legacies, we had that a bit too, where characters would use like a device, like a voice recognizer or whatever, which sounded weird at the time, but now looking back, it's like, holy shit, I predicted the future because AI. Yep. You can do that now. You can do that right now. Wow, I'm psychic, I guess. No, but I think we were able to get away with some stuff with like the osmosis device too, right? That's not a feasible thing you can do right now, but because it takes place later on, you have the suspension of disbelief where you go, you know what, that might be possible. But I think the show has always been grounded to an extent, so I think people could kind of just accept that. But yeah, so the sniper scene I think is so freaking cool. I love the way that you filmed it. So like, you know, him laying down, going prone, and then him shooting I'm shooting the bullet.
I think that was a mod, actually. I don't think you can go prone, can you?
It was a mod, yeah. You filmed all of this, yeah. It goes through the buildings and stuff. Like, that's so damn cool.
It's some anime shit, right? Some anime shit. We love it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking back at it, reminiscing right now. It's very cool. You know what? I actually just thought from looking at some of the facial animations and stuff of the characters, maybe this is a good time to talk about this. Do you remember that one problem with Scene Director to do with the faces?
I do, all too well, because I experienced firsthand of it over and 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 over again.
Why did it trigger again? Is it the character you're playing as? The one
the character that you're playing as, yes.
Yeah, for some reason in the Scene Director mod that we were using to make all these NPCs essentially move, the one you're playing as, when you look back at it in the Rockstar editor, the character you're playing as will be like doing like duck flips, going like this for some reason.
Oh, they would look terrifying. Like their eyeballs would pop out.
Why the hell it happened, I have no idea.
Sometimes their mouths would like stick out and you could see their teeth coming outside their lip. Ugh. That's a zombie right there.
We had to very carefully cut around those shots. Like sometimes you see it, but you'd miss it so quickly. Oh, but it was so annoying.
And you can never predict those things because, like, sometimes it would happen, sometimes it wouldn't. There were scenes where it happened where it was really pissing me off, and like the way I had to intercut, some shots after the fact. But here's what's weird too, is sometimes as I was filming, or as I was putting the shots together, like the cinematic shots together in the Rockstar editor, in the game, sometimes their face would look like that. And so naturally, I would go, okay, let me move the camera around this way so you can't see that. But then you go back into that clip again as you're recording over that footage, and it wouldn't happen. It was randomized. So that was a challenge because I would have to make do with the footage that I had, right? Where sometimes it's like, you don't see the character's face, even though their face isn't fucking up, versus, oh crap, the character's face you can see, and it is fucked up, and so I can't use that footage that I have now. Fuck. That was a constant issue on PC.
It's weird how each thing had its own set of problems, right? Console or PC.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of which, we're coming up to it now when the Nepo base explodes. That lagged the living hell out of my PC, man.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was like, oh my god. When it happened. But it looks awesome.
I noticed too, like there's a lot of cuts when it explodes, and I think that's because, like, if it goes on for too long, your PC lags.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love how you got a mod where it's just like a giant explosion. Huge. But yeah, your PC was probably like, fuck you, dude. I love this. I remember when you wrote this in the script where Steven runs away from an explosion. I'm like, how the hell are you going to film that? And then he did, and I was like, oh my gosh.
You can kind of see the explosion effect clipping into the wall and stuff, but it looks okay.
Yeah. You're not really focused on it too much, are you? You're just focused on Steven running away from it.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool shot. Get the hell out of there.
But I love how, like how cinematic it is and stuff and everything. And then you have a helicopter chase, which we haven't seen in cinematic form. So, but it's funny looking back. It's like, yeah, it's one helicopter chasing another. Yeah, versus the finale where you have like 80 jets shooting at each other. Man, how far we come. So speaking of which, actually, I want to talk about the jets real fast. So a big reason why there's not a lot of like jets fighting in the show, like one-on-one jets, is because when I was filming it on PC, the Scene Director mod, where you can sort of puppeteer, manipulate the characters and stuff. So with this mod called Scene Director, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, where you would control like what a character goes, how they would shoot and stuff with their gun, things like that. You could also control like how they would drive, which was a huge challenge because they love to just drive off a cliff a lot. But a big challenge was filming them in flying vehicles. Now, to an extent, I could have them, control where they were flying in a helicopter, but in a jet, no. It just didn't work, period. So like if I was to put someone that I wanted to fly around in a jet and have them go in a certain direction, they wouldn't do it. No matter what I tried, they would just crash. So I had to give up on that for a while. In the finale, which I'll talk about later, but there was a modding script I found, which is like called like a jet battle mod, where you would have all these jets fighting, and I'm so glad I found that script too. It made it so much more epic. But you'll notice if you look back, you'll see there's not a lot of like jets fighting in the later half of the show because the mod just wouldn't work for jets. Another thing you'll notice too, I'll talk about when we get to episode 6 specifically, but for some reason, when you're having a puppet that you're controlling in a flying vehicle, if you want them to use the helicopter's guns to shoot, it doesn't work. If you record yourself like shooting the guns out of the helicopter, they just don't do it. They just fly around. So that's why in episode 6 I had to intercut it between PC and console, because I wanted there to be, flying vehicles shooting the ever-living shit out of the boat, but you can't do that on the PC. The only way you can do it is if you're controlling the vehicle yourself, but that's one vehicle at a time, which makes it kind of lame. And I wanted to see multiple vehicles shooting at once, which just I couldn't do on the PC, surprisingly. Yeah. But again, in the finale, because of that script I talked about, specifically that mod script, where you have all those jets shooting and stuff, that's the only way I got it to work. But even throughout the whole show, you'll notice, like, on the PC episodes, you're not going to see a lot of vehicles shooting at once, just because it wasn't possible, which pisses me off, but hey, even PC had limitations. What are you going to do?
Yes, it
did. But beyond that, this scene here,
yeah,
it's so funny to me because the osmosis device, we had no idea what it was going to look like. None. None. In fact, we didn't know until episode 9 was done.
Yeah, at this point, it was just this sort of like invisible thing that you never see. That apparently, whatever it is, it can fit in the back of a van. And then by the end of the show, look what happened and what it turns into. Like, it was so slapped together, the idea. Quite like the osmosis device, actually. But it was nice to have these intercuts with what the villains are doing. I think we did it more than we did with even Kurt or Zeke or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, it constantly cuts back to what Carter's up to, like, all the fucking time. But
I think it expands the world quite a bit and makes it so, like, a character doesn't linger away from too long, so you forget they're in the story. But plus, this is a character, Carter, that we care about. And it's important, too, to establish Xander, about who he was, and even more so with Alex, just because we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with him, so we get to learn more about him as well. And, with various shows that I used to watch, I like to see scenes intercut to the opposite side, because it expands the world, expands the characters, it makes everything feel bigger in scope. Because, like, while this is happening right here, James and his squad are out doing things, and also Jake is out there doing things and stuff. I think that was important to establish. Like, this is a living, breathing world with multiple things happening in parallel. So I like how we did that. But with the osmosis device, we had no fucking clue what it was going to look like. I just said, look, they're looking for one part at a time, and we never even show what the parts look like until episode 9. So we always teased it, but we never showed it. But we were just like, hey, this little piece they found, I guess, has a screen on it, fits in the back of a van. But I never show you what it looks like in the van because the doors are just open, you don't see it. And again, because we had no idea what it was going to look like. I think we sort of teased at the idea. I was like, Scourge, since you have the PC, maybe you could build something together? And you're like, yeah, I'll look into it. But we didn't know how the fuck we were going to do it. Because I know in PC you can spawn in, like, objects and stuff. And I think we hinted at an idea of, like, taking, like, a preset racetrack and then maybe changing it around a bit to look like some type of structure. But that was just a random idea that I was throwing around. Ouija had no clue. So
no idea.
Fun fact. But this episode, what I like about it too is, after, the hectic action scene, things calm down. We get to see, James settling in more and dive more into like his freaky schizophrenia and stuff. And, with him like talking to a dead Eli and things was interesting. I like this scene too that you filmed with Steven, like being at the wreck site. Because again, it goes back to like there are multiple things happening in the world. Like Steven's over here doing his own thing. It's cool.
Oh yeah. And this whole safe house that they went to and things, I don't think we ever really explained what it was. I don't think there ever was an idea what it was. It was just, Steven said it was something from a long time ago. And I think we always just kind of assumed it was maybe like his old family house or something, right?
He said like it's an old relic that's secure. Yeah. He didn't really get... I don't think it matters that much.
No.
It's a safe house. Leave it alone. And you can't go inside of it, which is obvious, but yeah, the characters are just chilling there. So
they're in there sleeping. Around this episode, around this time, because I think we're going to get into the Ivan stuff real soon as well.
Yes.
With the backstory there. And I can actually pinpoint the exact moment during the Ivan flashbacks. Because I filmed those, where my PC blew up. I can point out where it happened.
Okay. Do tell.
You know that there was that final shot where Ivan says, you see him take the shot, and then it cuts back and he says, like, I took him out in one shot from such and such yards. That final gunshot of that angle going through the window, it was right then and there that my PC went bang.
So Ivan had such a powerful kill shot that it killed your computer.
Yeah, it was right here.
Right around.
That was it. It was
dead.
I got it. It saved it, but my whole rig blew up.
Oh damn, that sucks.
We had so many challenges, man. So many challenges.
Our poor computers, dude. Especially mine hates me from what I did in the finale. Goodness.
Well, think of it this. Look at it this way, Scourge. Your computer went out with the best last stand possible.
I seem to have bad luck with recording equipment, don't I, Josh? Like back during Origins.
Yeah, you do. Poor guy. And so, fun little fact about this scene too. A couple things. For one, Ivan's backstory. He is inspired heavily by Jaime Lannister's backstory in Game of Thrones, with like, his commander going crazy, him having no choice but to take him out. But Ivan gets labeled as like, this traitor and stuff, so no one trusts him anymore. But just filming this scene again with the fucking consoles, you can't control the time. And so it's supposed to take place at night, but the problem is that, as we were filming this scene and kept going on with it, the in-game's world time is too fast. And so as we're filming, it cuts to daytime. Sometimes we would literally have to sit there and wait for it to become night. And I think at one point I got too impatient, so I said, fuck it. I'm just going to put like this dark filter on it, see if I can find it actually. I think actually the latter half of this scene is all at night, but I remember like the first half of this scene around, let's see.
I mean, you hit it well, man, because I don't even think I ever noticed.
Yeah, there's some shots where it started to become sunrise or sunset, but I had to use a filter to make it dark. And, shit like that, where it's supposed to take place at a certain... Like, right here. This takes place during the day. Right here.
Wow.
Fucking... And if you look closely during that flash, watch this flash closely because it makes the screen brighter. Right... See? It's daytime.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking consoles, dude, I swear. But then, I think this is the episode where... Oh yeah, the showing of voice acting did a tremendous job with her lines in this scene, where Jake tells her that James and his team are missing and she's freaking out. Fantastic job. But I also like this scene a lot where, you know, Jake is like sneaking around and stuff to distract them, because at this point he's like, I have to take them out before he takes me out. And Jake installed another one of those gene missiles that he used on Zeke in Legacies. So we sort of are like trying to tie in all these little things that we brought up together.
Yep.
But I said to Scourge, I was like, this should be the episode where Xander breaks away from the group, is seemingly dead, but then he's actually scheming away. You don't see him for a while. So this goes back to what all we were pre-planning and stuff. But yeah, I actually enjoyed filming the sneaking scene quite a bit. After filming all of that crazy action stuff, it was nice to calm down.
Yep.
And then you filmed this, I think it was this Omega scene.
Shots here, yeah. Again, just wanted to bring back the infected types we had, right?
And it looks so much better than what he looked than the prototype one and Legacies. He's using like that white skinny armor, that bike armor.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the Juggernaut armor we could use now, and it looks so much more intimidating.
Yeah, dude.
I think though I did change just very slightly how the Omega looks, because maybe you just didn't see, I don't know, but there was like more bulky armor that you can give the Juggernaut, which I put on them in the when I started to film it. Because like you'll notice how, like, you know, he has like that, you know, thinner armor, but when I filmed it, he has that thicker armor on. So that's episode 3, numero 4, numero cuatros. So when we start this scene, you know, they break away from the safe house, they get a tip that there's a radiation reading. I think that was important to me, was the osmosis device is highly radioactive, so that drives the characters to go investigate said spot. And obviously, looking back at this, they say, oh, they're somewhere in the Mediterranean. It's obviously not. I was hoping people would just accept that, but you can kind of tell that there are some shots where, no, this takes place in San Andreas. Come on, Josh.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just love expanding the scope of it. Like they're underwater and stuff. And I remember actually the only challenge with this scene was making sure the characters wouldn't like drift away. Because when you're idle and just swimming around, they slowly float up, like very slowly. So that was kind of a pain. But because of these breathing masks that we had on, we didn't have to worry about losing oxygen or anything, so that was nice. And going back to like locations we pre-planned to film stuff in, which was this little like cage that they get to, which was a mission in the single-player campaign. It's kind of frustrating, because I wish we could go in there and explore, but because Rockstar patched it, we couldn't. And so we kind of had to write the script around that, saying, look, whatever was here is gone. So we talked about like false readings and stuff, and little did they know that, you know, Xander's scheming away, taking all these things in secret. So he got here before them, kind of upping up the suspension a bit. So, and then developing, you know, I wanted to give Catherine more to do. I feel like she wasn't getting enough to do. And so I think it'd be a good idea for her to try to find Alex, because of all of this stuff that's going down. Maybe she can convince him to not be crazy or whatever. And yeah, I think that was probably the best thing I could have done for her character, was just give her something to do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad everyone had a time. Like you said, every single one had a time to shine in this series. So
yeah, that was important for us. You know, give Steven a lot to do, give their president a lot to do, give everyone plenty to do, so that it would feel like if you cut out even a single character, the story would change. I can't tell you how many stories I've seen where I'm like, if you take out this character, the story is the exact same, so why are they in here? But it was important for me to make sure that every character had a presence, and if you cut them out, it wouldn't feel the same. And so I think her trying to find Alex and, you know, convincing him to see the error of his ways was really important, and it gives Catherine a lot to do, and it sets up some plot points later on as well. So, who seems like a minor character, but in the grand scheme, she has more of a presence. Same with Charlene, right, that we were talking about. So
yeah.
And that's really what happens later on in this episode when Charlene shows back up and she officially, joins the group. Is we were expanding slowly but surely, adding more characters that we knew, but putting them more front and center, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I knew logistically was going to be really hard because that means we're going to have more characters, more body actors that we need to work with, all this stuff, but because of the story, that's the importance of it, it has to be done. It has to be done. And so this scene, I remember you told me this Carter and Alex training scene was a really big challenge for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't actually remember why now, man. I'll be perfectly honest. I think it was just I was doing this new effect thing where, oh no, that's what it was. It was the first time I think I'd used the green screen.
Yeah, the green screen mod.
Because we have these sort of like internal mind shots coming up of Alex and stuff like detecting Carter from his mind with no environment around him. So this was the first time I'd tried this out, and it was very weird in the beginning. But it turned out pretty good. Turned out pretty okay.
Yeah, and actually, so speaking of the mods and stuff, like the scene director, the menu with MENYUU, the green screen mod, you introduced those to me because I think like you were just having trouble like filming them and stuff, and then you were just really short on time. And then when I got my PC and got GTA 5 on it and started to experiment with the game, we had a call about how you filmed these scenes and stuff, and I think it was by the time we got to episode 5 when pretty much everything was filmed by me at that point.
Pretty much, dude. Yeah, I for various reasons, I just wasn't able to commit as much as before. And
well, you had those problems with your computer, right? I think you told me too.
Yeah. I was scared of it blowing up a second time, basically. You know what? For anyone wondering, right, the reason it exploded... Josh, are you aware of, what is it? A single rail or dual rail power supplies?
Unfortunately, yeah.
So basically, never try and take your single, because, some graphics cards have one port or two ports for dual rail or single rail. It's like, this is the kind of power I need to run. Never try and get your single rail power supply to go into two in your graphics card.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Don't try and get a splitter and just force it to give out power.
Don't do that.
It will explode. That's why it happened.
Get a Thermaltake. They've been good to me. A Thermaltake PSU. Yeah. They've been really good
just
to me.
Just a whole new PSU, yeah, seriously.
And get a beefy one. Like, I know some people are like, well, I don't need a 800, 900 watt power supply. My response to that is, it's better to overcompensate than undercompensate every time. Because yes, it's a bit like I have a 950 watt power supply, and when I tell people that, they go, "Are you insane? You don't need that much power." And I go, again, it's better to overcompensate than undercompensate because I don't want to have to deal with these problems when they arise. And plus, I do a lot more than just game on my PC, right? I do editing, I do rendering, all that shit, and I need a powerful one for that. So anyway, but I'm glad we got to film this scene out in the wilderness, and I'm just glad how big the GTA 5 map is and how diverse it is. It gives us so many like story opportunities. Good shit.
Absolutely. We got to have this little Kurt tease here as well, which was very on the nose. Very on the nose.
The church thing. I think I floated the idea around of that like early on where Alex has like a little spin-off adventure where he goes there. So it was just a random idea. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just threw it by you and you're like, yeah, okay. Sure.
The voice of Stephen Joao, a friend of mine, when it got to this scene of Alex talking about he as soon as it came up where Alex went, I there's a man and I feel like I know him. Joao was like with me at the time and he just turned to me like this. He knew where it was going straight away.
Some people saw that like the Kurt jacket kind of, and I think some people put it together. I knew there was a friend of mine who's a big fan of the show. He started to put two and two together. He's like, okay, I think Alex is connected to Kurt somehow, but what I don't know is how.
Yeah.
So it was kind of more on the nose of Alex and Kurt, but Manny and Xander, no.
No. Yeah.
Which was a good. That's the biggest reveal, which I'm glad we kept well hidden. But the chase scene here. So here's the funny thing. So at this point, when James is kind of ousted from Nepo, they're AWOL from Nepo because they went against the board of directors' instructions. They're kind of doing their own thing, trying to stop the infection and stuff because they think Carter is the biggest threat. The board of directors did not, so he got ousted from Nepo essentially. And a big reason why we did that was in the GTA Online mode, armored military vehicles are very expensive.
Yeah.
And most of us cannot afford them. Like that truck right there, that costed a pretty penny alone. And by having this idea where the limited resources they would have, I think not only raised the stakes, but that allowed us to get away with not having to buy every single powerful vehicle in the game. Until it came to PC where we could do whatever we want, at the beginning of the story, we wanted to have it a way where we could have them use like they're using a regular fucking sedan here.
Yeah.
Which was shown in the trailer, but it was also just because I knew that we would not be able to buy all these really nice and heavily armored military vehicles in the game. There's no way. They cost too much. So that's how we had little things like that we had to work around.
Yeah.
And again, with this chase scene, at the same time, we all had to call Lester, do a chase scene, and then when that time was up, wait a few minutes. And sometimes we would have to just wait. If it would turn into daytime, we have to wait till it turns to nighttime. Just the constant limitations are really killing me by this point in this episode. But I do love this Omega fight scene that you filmed entirely yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
I think this was actually the last thing that you filmed for this show.
God, it might be, mightn't it? Yeah, and I think episode 4 still holds up as one of my favorites. I think just overall, and it's probably a lot to do with this scene actually.
It raises the stakes quite a bit, and it because of like how fully fleshed out like the zombies are at this point. Because like we got a tease of it in like Legacies, but not since Series 3 with the introduction of the Berserkers have I think fans been scared of a zombie. In this case, the Omega. Like you thought the Berserkers were bad. This is a whole other thing.
And it was right after that Carter chase too. So these guys are like already sweating. They've just been through that insane.
They're exhausted,
chase.
yeah.
And then this happens.
Give them a break, and I'm like, no, no.
There was one line from in this scene right after the car crashes, and you hear Ivan say "contact" as he begins shooting at the Omega. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the Ivan VA. That was me having to slip in and do the line.
Oh shit!
They forgot to do the line, so I
actually did not know that.
Nice.
And on this mod later on, we see James and Maya hugging. I'm like, this is so good. This feels like real, living, breathing characters that aren't just random characters in the game. They're actually doing stuff that fits their personalities in the story. Like the mods just enhance the story to a level that I am still in disbelief that we were able to pull off. Honestly, just because you go from the huge limitations on consoles to what we were able to pull off with the PC. And you told me later on too, during some of the last episodes, you were shocked I was able to do some stuff.
Yeah, dude, seriously. It's
which
mad
I am too.
When we get there.
Yeah.
But no, this was a super fun scene to film. And obviously we're going to get to the Peacemaker suit for the first time, which I think that punch might still be one of the best shots. And I'm really proud of how it turned out, man. I'm really proud of how that punch turned out. I put like an aura on the fist and I jumped to frame, so it kind of just suddenly it's in his face and stuff. It was like a DBZ punch. It was so satisfying.
Before the Peacemaker suit arrives, how we actually got it, because I knew we wanted to introduce it in this scene. I think you wanted to wait until we introduced it when Jake and Carter fight for the first time, but I said I wanted to showcase like what it's capable of before we get to that. That way, like, you know, when other characters are suited up, you know that it's go time. But I think for this, I said, I think this is, because I think you want it to be a bit more mysterious and build it up more, but I think I said, well, when the characters fight this Omega and they're cornered, there's nothing else they can do besides having this really powerful thing go against it to buy them time.
That's the trump card.
Yeah. And I remember too, I was like, when I originally wrote the script, James just kind of has it, and you're like, Josh, how does he get it? And I was like, he just does. You're like, dude.
He took it out of his pocket.
So you had this idea where he calls Steven, he runs off, he shoots a flare, they drop off the crate, then he puts it on. Just much better. See, guys, this is why sometimes it's okay to have multiple writers. Not too many, but just enough. And it's why it's okay to have your script proofread by some folks who are fans of your story. It's okay to get help, because you know sometimes I like to toot my own horn. That was so cool I did that, but other times I'm like, Josh, what the hell were you thinking? Come on, dude. So thank you for that. But yeah, this scene. Oh yeah, let's go to the money shot. Yeah, probably one of my favorite shots in the season, which actually watching it back frame by frame, I see how you pulled it off, and it's very, very, very anime inspired because we're big anime fans. It cuts. Doink.
There's like a freeze frame for like half a second almost. It's so nice.
Yeah. You know, the build up of it, the reveal and how it glows, and like. Remember watching the trailer for the show and how Jake just has on like that armored stuff, whatever. Later on, Rockstar came up with an update where not only did you have bikes, like Tron-looking bikes, but also suits like this. And when we saw that, you tagged me on that post that Rockstar made and went, Josh, the Peacemaker suits! I was like, yes! Thank you, Rockstar!
It was
you look so much better! Yeah, and then so the whole idea of it was, because I knew Jake and Carter needed a fight, hand-to-hand, but how? Because Jake is a regular guy, Carter's an enhanced who is capable of, like, throwing cars with one hand. How would they do that? Because Carter would just turn Jake into Swiss cheese in one punch. So that's when I came up with the Peacemaker suit idea, and Scourge loved it. And the name came from the Jak and Daxter games. There's a gun called the Peacemaker. So that's where it came from.
Hell yeah.
And the other idea I wanted to implement too was, yes, these suits give them advantage, but also gives them a huge disadvantage, which is we wanted to put in a lot of limitations in place. You can only use it for a little bit. If you push it too far, it puts serious strain on the user in question. Not only that, but they're extremely nuclear because of the level of power needed to put these things up. Plus, they're also in their early prototype stages. So we wanted to yes, they can match the strength of Assumiers, but it's temporary, it's risky, it's dangerous, all these things. I mean, I think we made that very, very clear in the next scene where they explain how all this works, because it shows like the level of strain that it puts on James. So, but yeah, I do love this fight. I'm sure you had a good time putting it together.
It's so great. It just has a lot of beefy sound editing, and everything just worked so good in this. I don't know. I look back on it very fondly.
Because like up to this point, we never saw a fight scene like that. Like this is the first time we saw like two characters going at it like this. Where we do see it a lot more in the later episodes, but this is the first time we see it like this. Where you're like, oh damn, we're in the thick of it now. Josh and Scourge are not playing this season. Okay, no, we're not.
And I really wanted James to have a big kick-ass moment. I think that we all agreed he needed one, and we wanted it to be where he just barely scraped by against the Omega, like just barely.
Well, we wanted every character, I think, to have a badass moment. You know, like Yvonne gets his big sniping thing, Gordon gets his jetpack, Jake obviously has plenty of his, Charlene gets hers, where, you know, she shoots down a helicopter by sniping it, Catherine gets hers by, you know, being a good driver and stuff, Alex gets his, obviously, finding being the only one that can hurt Xander for the first time, little things like that. And, you know, obviously Maya having her own entire backstory in the first scene in episode 9. Every character needed to have their badass moment, I think. So, but yeah, this fight scene's great. No complaints.
No complaints here.
And then the, you know, Jake coming back to join the group and stuff, where he's finally in episode 4 joining them. But because, you know, I wanted Charlene to give her more to do, I didn't want her to just be in the background the whole season. I wanted her to, like, be here to help out. So
yeah,
that's where at this point, when she hears like what happens to James, it's a motherly instinct, right? You're going to want to go look for your kids, of course. So that's what she does. But, you know, then she gets attacked by that incendiary because someone's been tracking them, but they're not there. But Charlene is, and she was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And then this whole this whole scene at this safe house with the incendiary. This is actually the last scene I think you filmed for me.
I think it was. It must be, right? Yeah. Unless we're going to get proven wrong in the next fucking episode. I don't remember. But again, really fun to film. And I had to kind of manually place all of the fire around the house to make it on fire. Because there was no like template or preset for that. I had to like basically spawn in small fires and like bonfires and shit. And place them on the house so it kind of looks like it's on fire. Oh, and I just sprayed fire around for a few shots too. Just threw a few Molotovs and shit, you know.
I tried that too in episode 8, but goodness, the fire goes away so fast. So fast.
Quick. Yeah.
But I love how this is cut, you know, again, intercutting between, you know, PC footage. I love that POV shot, by the way. This PC footage and the console footage. I think this scene, besides like getting the fire to work, I imagine this was like pretty fun for you to film because it's just Charlene and just the incendiary. And you're like, all right, this ain't too bad.
It gets to some of the stuff later when Jake and James show up. One of my favorite shots is actually, you know, when Jake gets caught fire and he throws himself backwards off of that hill, that cliff.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit back from here. Yeah. It was so, I don't know why, I just thought that couldn't have looked any better the way he jumped off that. Like, that looked a bit stupid, but then when he comes off, look at that. Whoa! It's like he knew what he was doing. He knew that he had to jump down into the water or something, you know?
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Tactical genius.
It's so good. This whole thing turned out great. And you have the big James freak out moment later on where he sees
one of my favorite moments, actually. I remember when you sent me the footage when you got done with it, I would watch this one part over and over and over again, which was not just, this wasn't not this bit, but I'll get to it, but I do love this bit where the incendiary grabs her by the throat. That was not in the script. You just did that, and I'm like, holy crap! I was scared. I knew how the episode was going to end.
I surprised you a little bit, yeah. I remember how excited you were. Oh, and then I had to edit in the incendiary shooting a big fireball here, which was fun.
So, one of my favorite parts of this whole fight scene is right here, where, you know, after Jake tells Charlene to take cover, this happens, where incendiary builds it up, shoots fire out, he pushes James out of the way, and then a thunk. That's so fucking good, man.
I cast Fireball.
How did you film that? Was that just like a rocket launcher round? What was that?
It must have been, right? I can't think of how else they would have done that. Yeah, it must have been a rocket. I think. But it didn't have a smoke trail. You know what? I think it was explosive ammo. I fired a single shot that created the in-game explosion, but that fireball was edited in. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then another one of my favorite shots after, you know, James sees the Eli and Eddie is right. Oh yeah, this right here. He looks so damn intimidating, you know. And then, you know, with the shocking thing that James is about to shoot his own mom because he's going crazy at this point. But I love tying like previous lines and the current lines. So this bit where Jake is revealed behind the incendiary, because of course he's not dead, but he says, "Not so fast, you son of a bitch." That's a reference to Series 1. I think that was important for me. Was I wanted things to be, yeah, we're introducing a lot of things, but let's not be shameful of what was before. Yes, there's a lot of cringe moments, you know, from previous shows, but let's not hide our shame. Let's say, yes, this is part of that same story in a sense, and we're tying it all together. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that, and I think that was important to do. They had like those, you know, like later on in episode 9 where Carter's like, "Jake, run or shoot. Jake, run or shoot." That's a reference from Series 3. So
yeah,
I love little references like the callbacks. I love that. And then I think, you know, the big reveal with I stand corrected again. This scene where Xander shows back up, I think this is the last scene that you filmed. I keep forgetting.
When these poor bodyguards just get gored to death.
I know you had so much fun filming this.
I did, yeah. The huge amount of blood spray and the sound editing that just made it sound like 10 times more awful. Just all this gore shit that you don't even see, but that somehow makes it scarier. It makes it scarier because exactly, less is more, show don't tell, and there's this huge amount of blood, but when Xander walks in the room to the president, he hasn't got a single drop of blood on him, and you're like, how? How?
And then, I told you, I think in the script I had this idea of, by the way, this whole scene was inspired by the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One, where like you just see this faint light appear, but I don't want the audience to see who it was besides just the eyes appearing, and that's that sound you made when the eyes open, like it's like so creepy. So good. And I think this really shows that, okay, this is a character you should be scared of. And it is. I think you told me to, because from here on out I filmed this scene, and I think you told me you love the scene a lot, because like this is like true fully fledged horror at this point, you know, if like the slow pan towards the door, you can hear the footsteps and stuff, and then you just see their footsteps walk in, and then Vance is shocked, you don't know why yet, Steven starts shooting at him, and then boom. He's back in his fully fledged outfit that I knew a long time ago. Ever since I saw that white trench coat, I said, that's what I want him to wear, damn it. It's a running thing, isn't it? A character's abilities, like the color of their abilities, match their clothes. And that's like a little fun gimmick that I play with, just because I like to think there's like this unofficial idea of that a character likes to wear the same clothes as their powers because that makes their glowing effects brighter. I don't know.
It's just, it's anime stuff, dude. It's legit. It's got that a little bit of anime inspiration in there. But
and the you came up with the. You were a sick son of a bitch. You came up with the idea that he would. Well, I came up with the idea that Xander has the ability to mind control. I think that was important because, like, to showcase how powerful he was. You came up with the idea that he would force Steven to shoot Vance. Goodness. I said at the time, that sounds way too dark, but fuck it.
Let's do it. Let's make it dark.
Because we both agreed this should be the darkest, most serious of all the seasons, and I remember my friend of mine watched this scene after Steven shoots him. He told me, he was like, I just sat there, I paused it, and I just sat there in shock for like 20 minutes and didn't say anything. I was like, did you just fucking do that?
Yeah, man. It's wild.
But like, yeah, looking back, you see some of these visual effects that I put in, where I love the idea of like this misty kind of like glow for Xander's powers that look kind of like godly because he's so insanely powerful. I remember actually a long time ago, I forgot where I was, but I was in I don't even know where I was, but it was late at night. My power was out, and I just was using candles and stuff. And this was like right as the the sun was starting to set, and I was gonna go to sleep. And so as I blew out the candles, you just see like this white smoke rise up. Well, that looks kind of cool. And like my fingers were like right underneath the candle, and like that smoke was coming out of my fingers, and I was like, I love that. That's like what Xander's powers should look like. And another inspiration for that actually was when I was a kid, there's this movie I watched called The Prince of Egypt, that animated film. There's a scene in that film that traumatized me as a kid where the Death Angel appears, and it doesn't have a physical form. It's just like this white mist that appears out of the cloud, and it just sucks the soul out of kids in that village. And I'm like, and just thinking about that, I was like, coinciding that with like the mind control abilities and stuff. That's how his powers came to be. And I told Scourge early on, and I was like, I want them to look like this misty, smoky, like white powers, but also have like a little bit of beauty behind them. It's like, what? Yeah, with like, because characters sometimes they have like this minor glow and stuff, but it's this sense of like, yeah, Xander's powers should be for something beautiful, but he's not using them for those reasons. Because like where he starts to like glitter later on, and even during some of the last episodes where characters glitter and stuff, like that's whenever they start to glitter, I think that showcases like their power scale at that point through like, again, show don't tell, but that's just an unofficial reason for that.
For sure.
But I love this whole final scene, really. You had quite a bit of hand in rewriting it, but you said like you loved how like it edited and stuff, how the scene starts with Van surfacing a poem, and that also being the last thing that he says.
Dude, yeah, it was perfect, and you just hear the gunshot and everything cuts off to black. While we have the chance, shall we mention the sound effect that plays whenever Xander uses his mind powers?
Yes.
So this is a very... Are you aware of this, Ed?
Oh, I know the origin.
I
know it, so I'm just chuckling out of, oh yeah.
Just for the viewers, for the listeners right now, the sound effect whenever Xander is mind controlling is an extremely distorted and slowed down version of the SpongeBob SquarePants opening.
Yep.
Are
you ready, you kids?
When you revealed that to me, Josh, I just started laughing my ass off because I remember telling myself, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that before? And when you told me, I was like, oh my God, why did I not see that?
It's these little things, right, with how like you think, oh, that's so cool, how badass that is. With like Kurt's voice. I got that from an episode in Family Guy. This thing you think sounds so badass. No, it's from something silly that I was inspired by. You know how I found out you used the SpongeBob theme? Because I had no idea up until I found it. I was just browsing on YouTube, and then I saw this video of the SpongeBob theme, but slowed down, distorted, and reverb, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then it was the exact same sound effects that you used. I'm like, what? Scourge, are you kidding me? This is SpongeBob?
I don't know why I did it back in the day. I think I wanted to do it like to see how long it could go without like until you noticed. I think I was just trying to prank you or something.
Well, it worked on me because I couldn't tell. And it sounds scary. It does. It does. Like you take something that sounds so sweet and innocent like the SpongeBob thing and you turn it into something terrifying. It's kind of crazy. But all around, great job finding that sound effect, and good job for making me unaware of that. I feel like if I was never going to find out, you would never tell me until now.
Probably not.
But I found out, and I was laughing my ass off.
Yep.
The climax, one of my favorite episodes. This officially is where I started filming most things on PC. So at this point, I had my PC up and running, ready to go, and right before here, this is where you taught me and trained me how to use some mods and stuff. So, and right out of the gate, I was really challenging myself because in this scene, you see a number of NPCs and stuff like doing animations and things, but on top of that too, with the scene director, it's hard to explain, but the scene director, you can only spawn in I think up to like 10 to 15 characters at a time, which later on I figured out how to get around that. So what I did was, as I was spawning in these characters, like the background people to like the audience members, was I would spawn them in, I would have them do like a specific animation, and then I would remove them from the list of people in the scene director. That way they would keep doing the animation, because unless you take control of them again, they would stop doing the animation. But if you just played the animation, took them off the list of the scene director people, they would still do the animation, which is how I got away with it right here. And then you show me how to like use it to have, 2 characters or even 3 interact at once, which was always a challenge because you have to have the primary person you're playing as utilize that animation, because like for like scene director, you can't have character number 4 interact with number 2. No, it has to be the character, the first one in the list of the players and the scene director. That is the only one that can utilize those multiple animations. It's really finicky, and it took me a while to figure that out, but once I did, I got the gist of it. The other thing too is, while I like the mod, it has some problems. So like, the more characters you add to it, on like the corner of your screen as you're filming it, it would show you like, the characters that you spawned in. But if you had too many, it would cut off your screen and you couldn't see who you spawned in. And sometimes I would just have to guess where in the list, like, okay, where is Maya? I can't see her because the screen's cut off. Let me just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that Maya? No. Is that Maya? No. There she is. So little things like that. And then this is something that I did not figure out how to do until the finale, or I didn't figure out how it worked until the finale. So when you're recording a character to like move in a certain direction or whatever, which for the most part kind of worked for me, but in terms of them shooting their gun at something, that only works if their bullet is impacting something. So if you shoot a character just shooting up at if you record a character just shooting up at the sky or at the air, when you play it back, they don't shoot. They just kind of stand there. You're like, what the? Do something. It wasn't until the finale when I started putting it together, because there was like scenes where they're like out in these big open areas where I'm like, why is this zombie not shooting anything? I've recorded this for so long. What are they doing? It wasn't until I realized you have to physically be hitting something with your bullets for scene director to register that as a recorded action.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't know until the finale. And so, thankfully, by the time I figured that out, it was smooth sailing from there. But that was always something I was like, why isn't this working? Because sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. I think I randomly figured it out when I was getting really pissed off during filming, and I was like, come on, record my shooting, damn it, come on! I was getting so pissed. And then I was like, is it the location? Is it the character? Is it the weapon? What's going on here? I was fiddling around with Jake, and I was out in the middle of the desert in the game. I was shooting up in the air. I was like, okay, play it back. He wasn't shooting. And I was like, okay, well, is it the direction? Is it the weapon? What is it? It wasn't until I accidentally started shooting at a rock when the scene director mod registered that he was shooting something. So that was a pain. But after figuring that out, smooth sailing from there. But yeah, this is the first scene really where I think I filmed on my PC myself. I had my friend John voice, this assistant here. He was very excited to do it. Where we got to, I think Henry wrote this scene, Scourge, where you talked about like this quote unquote subject escaping from captivity.
Yeah, we were just putting together Xander's backstory and such, weren't we? Dropping some hints. We also said that this was the first time the osmosis device was used, which then would explain why Xander knows what it is and wants it himself. So it all played a part in the story and such. But I didn't realize this was so. When you were saying this is the first scene you filmed, turned out pretty good. It's actually not bad at all. You intercut it with some horrible gore sounds yourself, didn't you? From they like play. Oh no, that was some of the footage that they show of like the hospital of like Xander walking out and like that guy like puts a gun to his head and stuff. Was that you or was that me? Because that was really cool too.
This was me. This was me.
I think
you added the effects.
Yeah. Like I put a little shadow on him and stuff, but this was really good, man. Look at all them stumbling around and stuff.
I think you added that blood effects on that wall. But them stumbling around, that's because in Scene Director, you can actually change the way a character walks around. You can make them walk normally, like a man, a girl, or like they're really, really drunk or stunned or whatever. So they're walking like they're drunk. That was the animation I was using.
That's really good.
But yeah, that I remember I filmed that. I think from here on out, I was like, all right, Scourge, I'll take it on. Oh, you put that text on too. That was cool.
I think I just saw another Bruno. I think I just saw another Bruno thing. Yeah, there was another bloody wall writing right after for like a split second. Did you see it? There it is.
I saw that. Yeah. Bruno was here.
Fuck's sake. Okay. Yeah, we were just showing off how terrifying Xander really is, like the mind control and stuff. Like we'd only just introduced this idea, this reveal, and then you see more of it here of what it can do and what it can do to people. And isn't that foreshadowing right there? Bang. Foreshadowing. Yeah.
That was so I pulled that off by right here basically. So you might notice that, his head shaved, but that was a purposeful thing because I didn't want the audience to know that's Xander, obviously. Even though someone argue that like, well, we already know that that's him because of the ending of episode 4, but by this point you have to understand that, he's being experimented on and stuff. So his head shaved, and I think by this point, when we get to a later episode where it shows his hair being black, again akin to Manny's hair being black, trying to tie it together. I think I like to imagine his hair was black. It all fell off when his power started to really rise up, and then it became white. So I guess that's the unofficial reason. Sure.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I accept that as canon.
Yeah, Xander, a bald Xander walking, that was a puppet from the Scene Director. That guy shooting, that was me. And then I had to really do this quick, because like you have to understand, like between episodes 4 and 5, there was months between the release dates because I was up for hours and hours and hours almost every day trying to understand how these mods work, what I couldn't do. And I think that was crucial for me to really get the ins and outs of it, because Scourge, you show me the gist of how these mods worked, but I think you even admitted like I did some stuff that you didn't know was possible.
Yeah, well, totally, dude. Because when we had like a full-on sessions where I would kind of try and walk you through the basics, which I just thought would be the quickest way of doing it. But I literally only gave you some basics, and I just said like, off you go, have fun learning. And you did. And you pulled off all kinds of crazy shit. Yeah. You did some great stuff.
So like, for example, as the Scene Director mod was playing out with Xander walking and stuff, the menu mod as well, which basically gives you the ability to do anything in the game, just about, including having a character do an animation. So for this scene, like I was playing as that, which I don't know why he has a gun in hindsight, but who gives a fuck? Go with it. So this doctor has a gun shooting at Xander, but as that Scene Director was playing, I also had the menu thing open in the other side of the screen, where I would have the suicide animation on standby. And what's cool about Menu 2 with animations is you can, favorite them, so you wouldn't have to, like, search for them and stuff, which the name of the animations in Menu are really weird. Sometimes they weren't even named, like, what they coincide with, right? Like, Walking Funny translates to, WKNG_0008 dot... It didn't make any sense, so...
Yeah.
But... yeah, so as he was walking up, then I quickly activated that animation where he goes, boom. Little things like that. Yeah, officially first episode where I got to use... oh yeah, I remember too, this scene right here. You helped me with the visual effects for... we see some choppers flying around and stuff. That jet, again, was controlled by me. Everything else, all the helicopters, that was by the puppets from the scene director. Because again, you can't film a character in scene director flying a jet. It just doesn't work. So that's why you only see one. But this one, yeah, where I was really getting to just go all out and play around with it was this scene here, just showing how the zombies are officially taking over the town. You see it. We're on consoles. We cannot do this. The cops will be on my ass constantly. So, but on PC, you can turn that shit off.
Hell yeah.
Which is great. And it just goes to show like how chaotic, how bad things are. The president's dead, the stakes are high, there's, aircraft everywhere, people are getting killed and stuff. But you really get to see it in full fruition here. So, and then this is intercut with scenes from console. Because at the time, I didn't know how to film some things on PC and what to film on console. So that's a cut from the trailer I put in. So yeah, I filmed this on the console. I'm not sure why, in hindsight. I just did. Within like driving to the city.
Yeah, I guess maybe just for the sake of ease, right? Not clogging things up too much, but it's just a driving scene.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a driving scene. Oh, actually, I think it's because at the time I didn't know how to get other characters on PC to get in the same vehicle as me. I figured out how to do it later on, but on PC I kept running into an issue where if I try to get another character into the same car as the other character, they would just keep hijacking it. They would just keep throwing the driver out, like in GTA fashion. It wasn't until much later on how I figured out how to get that to work, so I think that's probably why. Because looking back, I'm like, I could have just done this on PC, but now that I'm remembering it now and things are kind of like coming back to me, I think that's why. I just didn't know how to do it at the time.
Most likely, yeah.
But yeah, Carter talking about, like, I think you wanted this idea of Carter having the ability of, like, you wanted to introduce new abilities to some of these enhanced, didn't you? I think you wanted to have characters have traits from, like, various enhanced, or various zombie types, like the Frantic. Carter has Frantic abilities with, the Incendiary. Manny has fire abilities, and so on.
Yeah, I thought it would be cool, and I also liked. We didn't get to mention this before, but the whole like Carter having to take a serum, otherwise his powers go out of control thing.
Right.
I figured that hadn't been done really up to this point. It's something we hadn't really gone into, like the idea of a character that loses control, kind of. So I thought that'd be fun.
It gives him like a temporary weakness, so that when other people are fighting him, it gives them a little bit of a chance, so you don't feel like he has a complete edge over them. And then he also talked about how using this ability, and it decreases the time in which he has to take the serum. Which we mostly played up during the fight scene later on in this episode, which you don't see as much later on in later episodes, just because I think like by that point, with Xander being the fully fledged bad guy and stuff. Besides like a couple times with like in episode 8 when he decides not to take it, and then again in the finale when he decides not to take it again. I think we just decided like, hey, instead of him this being like a central thing for his character. For now, we're just going to say to the audience, this is what he has to do. You don't necessarily see it. Maybe a couple times, but that's it, really.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing around with I love how you wrote this scene where you wanted Jake to seem like very intelligent and like this. He's putting on like his investigative hat, right? Investigating the crime scene. I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, he's a talented. He's very introspective and externally retrospective guy. He's looking around. He's gathering all the clues. He's Batman, basically. Let's be real.
Yeah, which he's heavily inspired by the way Solid Snake looks in the Metal Gear games.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big fan of those. That's why. But so kind of in retrospect, looking at like the scenes you filmed versus the scenes I filmed. So like in parts of like right here, for example, when there's like still shots, like the way the camera is very still in certain areas, I decided later on that instead it should look more like a handheld camera. The reason for that is in Scene Director, when you have other characters that you spawned in, they kind of move around in a weird way. Even if they're just totally still, they kind of like twitch a little bit, like just gotta go
right, yeah,
very, very faintly. So what I decided to do was have like the camera slowly kind of move like someone's holding it with their hand, you know? That way, as it's kind of rotating very slightly, you wouldn't catch it as much. Because if it was just a still shot, again, the character looks like they're on like a pendulum, like standing on a pendulum, like
yeah.
So that's the reason why I did that. That's why most of the show has that handheld camera trick. But later on, when we have to put in visual effects, I can't. It has to be a still shot. Otherwise, it's very hard to place an effect and have the shot move around slightly. So you'll see that later on. But again, giving Catherine more to do, where she shows up looking for Alex. I think that was important to me. I wanted each character to have plenty to do. I wanted the voice cast to have plenty to do. I don't want to just have them not do something for a whole episode. Then them talking about like the president being dead and stuff.
Yeah,
and
they just
this scene here.
They finally put their differences aside,
reconcile,
which is really cool.
Because we knew Yvonne was going to be dead by this episode, and I didn't want them to be at odds by this point. I wanted them to reconcile because they would have to, right? They have to fight together against Carter and Alex, which I think was important. Like, they get the team up. Like, you even see hints of that, like, during their fight scene where Yvonne's like, Gordon, watch out, or Yvonne, look to your left, or whatever. Like, they're working together, finally. It's good to see, and I think that was important for me before Yvonne got killed. Which, I planned, we planned pretty early on that, like, you wanted Yvonne to die. I like to think the reason for that is because Xander saw him as, like, a big threat. Even though he's just a human, he's way too good at what he does, sniping. Xander wanted him gone.
Yeah.
So that's
even though realistically, sniper bullets would have absolutely no effect on someone like Xander.
No.
He just saw him as too much of like a thorn in his side, like taking out like his zombies left and right way too easily. Yeah. So he's like, even though I could, take this guy out single-handedly, I can take this guy out single-handedly, that's why he chooses to do it. He views him as like a big, annoying thing, like this fly that keeps buzzing next to his ear, who keeps interfering with this, because he knew if he was alive, he would just slow down his plan way too much. So,
and it's like, this guy's got too many anime bullshit powers, I'm gonna kill him.
Mm-hmm. He viewed him as more of a threat than James. Crazy.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
So, but yeah, this whole fight scene all came down to this. I remember we wanted this whole building to be on fire, but we didn't know why. And I like to think at this point, because Xander is scheming all of this. He wanted them to all come together, and by this point that he has them all together, I think he was hoping by instructing his zombies to shoot down the chopper that Maya was in, that it would just kill all of them. But it didn't, and then he said, even if it doesn't, let them kill each other, the building while I do my own thing. And then when that didn't work, Xander said, alright, I'll do it myself. Hey everybody, I'm not dead, LOL.
Hi, I'm still alive, making my presence known just for the hell of it.
And by the way, my biggest challenge filming this whole fight scene, it's hard to tell right now, but when I had their for the people wearing the Peacemaker suit, you'll kind of notice this watching the footage here. Sometimes it would happen, sometimes it wouldn't. Like right here, like why is it shot like that? So this wasn't happening as I was filming it. It only happened during my cutting of the Rockstar Editor camera shots together, in the game footage. So some of the characters had their inward clothing clip out of the suit. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse right now, but right here, the bottom right, like on his left shoulder here, there's this like white triangle. That is his inner white shirt clipping through the front of his suit, which I didn't see as I was filming it. I only saw it as I was putting the cinematic shots together. So that aspect of cutting it together was challenging because I did not want to do the whole thing over. It was a pain to put it together as it is. I found a way around this later on where I had characters where if they had the Peacemaker suit on, they would have this tactical belt instead, which got rid of the clipping issue altogether. For some reason, this issue wasn't happening with Gordon. That's why that shot you see of him, you can see the front of his torso. But for James, like right here, it's always from the back. And before he turns away, it cuts away. The same thing was happening with Yvonne's Peacemaker suit. The inner white shirt was clipping outward. It's really freaking stupid and annoying, but I had to make it work. And unfortunately, it happened for Jake's suit as well when he had his on. But again, I had to make it work because I was not filming that shit all over again. That's why most of these shots you see either they're from behind, like right there, see? White shirt clipping out.
Yeah.
Really annoying. They're either from behind or they're really close up to their face and you don't see below the neck. So, but yeah, I do love this whole fight scene. I think it's like the climactic battle. Like it's been building up to this, and little do they know that like everything they're doing is pretty much pointless because of what Xander's actually doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I do like there's this part where Carter shows back up, and then he's debating taking down James, but he doesn't want to. Like there's this whole like thing that we kind of put up with that Carter does care for James. He doesn't want to hurt him,
Yeah.
So, but I do like how this man, you made them look terrifying. I remember you put this effect together.
Yeah, I was just thinking while looking at it, the effects were pretty fire in this episode. Pardon the pun. They were really good.
You made them look like all burned up to a curse. Oh my gosh. Poor Eddie, man. Poor Eddie. And then Alex is like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yep.
I did get some criticism. So by this point, this is where we started to have voice actors drop out just for various reasons. That includes the Alex voice actor that we originally had. And I had to have my friend Logan voice him. The audience told me they didn't really like his voice. So episode 6 is where I did like a good chunk of getting some new actors in, including the one for Xander here. Just because some of them had to drop out for various reasons. But I think Alex, Xander, Gordon, Yvonne, Catherine, Charlene, almost all at the same time weren't able to help us anymore. So I had to create a whole new like casting call for these characters, and we got a decent number of auditions. But nice. I think we picked the best ones for sure.
For sure, yeah. It's kind of interesting that there was 2 different voice casts for the first and second half of Revelations.
It's like a mid-season swap, isn't it? It's kind of crazy how it happened right at the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
So weird, but I guess it was fate. Who knows?
For sure.
Some of the actresses that we picked, like the ones for Charlene and Catherine, I think we picked really well because they sound extremely similar to the original ones.
Yeah.
I love the one for Alex as well, Dale, because he has sort of he does sound a bit young, but he has that very faint, raspiness to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Gives off that slightly mutated, cool sounding vibe. So I think he's perfect.
Ed, what were you going to say just now?
I was going to say that on the topic of the previous cast, how the season is split. Basically, the first half is the original cast, second half is the new guys, us. Mm-hmm. The way I see it, the original cast, they laid the foundation that we, the understudies, we built on it, and
I agree.
And yeah, and you'll notice that in episode 6. When I start playing Xander, I'm playing it very close to Kyoto Somo, to how Kyoto Somo played it. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do mimicking another actor's performance. And it just, when I was mimicking him, I just sounded so flat. My performance just sounded so flat. There was no emotion in it.
Yeah,
it sounded like
you took it for your own, you took your own spin on it.
And I like that because I think me and you had a lot of creative back and forth where you asked me look, Xander's getting closer to finishing the osmosis device, his plans are coming to fruition and no one can really stop him. Naturally, he would only sound more sadistic and twisted, and you know what, let's have a bit of fun as well with him. He's a guy who is so insanely powerful. He's very carefree, so there's some things he just doesn't take seriously. He views this as a one big silly game, and I think we decided that let's go away from the seriousness, because the first half of the show he is pretty serious, but for the later half, as Xander is here in full fruition, he's very powerful, no one can stop him, and he thinks those that are trying to stop him are just ridiculous because they can. He's just laughing at them, and so it's making him more, maniacal and stuff. So
yeah,
as I said in the retrospective, because 6 months had gone by in universe, as he was getting closer to completing his goals, 6 months is more than enough time for you to become a bit more unhinged when you're close to reshaping the world.
Absolutely,
I can agree with that. Yeah.
So this scene here, so going back to some of the effects and stuff, Scourge, oh man, you hated me. You hated me so much. Because this whole scene is 30, 40 something minutes long, and with these fire effects, I do blame myself for how many fucking shots that are cut back and forth too quickly during some of the fights. I do like the scene, but obviously, as a creator, you always think you can do better in retrospect. And also because I think the fight scenes in some of the last episodes are well better shot. There's so many cuts in these that you were. Every time it cut, you had to move how the sparks and the smoke to move for every single shot.
Yep.
And there were so many cuts, and you were like, "Oh my Lord, Josh, why?"
Yeah, it took me ages, but it was worth it though. It turned out real nice. Again, like you said, looking back on it, even right now, I look at things and I'm like, with what I know now, I could have done this, I could have done that,
But I still think cool. It turned out pretty well,
Yeah.
Which it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because we look back at some scenes in Series 1 of 3 and Legacies, and we're like, we could have done that so much better, and it's hard for me to even watch this. But with Revelations, I never got that feeling. We could say, we could have done it better, but you know what? I like how this turned out.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's in large part because of the decision we made that, again, we're going to have all of this be in the Rockstar editor. You know, because even though it might look a bit cringy, it still looks cinematic to us. You know? So I think just that elevates it so much more. Where, yeah, I mean, yeah, we could have done better, but it still came out really well.
Sure, man.
But yeah, so much stuff happens, you know, in this, and Carter shows off his ability, which I know you had. I think you told me, you said, as annoying as it was to put visual effects together for this scene, I think you said, I'd much rather be doing this than actually filming it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll be real. It was a lot of fun experimentation for me, the VFX. And doing the transformation where he actually loses control for the first time. We get to see that. That was really cool. So
I had a lot of fun with the, because I think by this point, you know, you were just doing like some of the visuals, and I was doing most of the sound effects, which I did have some fun putting those in. So like him transforming, you know, and stuff, and them exchanging energy and the sound effects for that. Because I think like I think I sent you a small snippet of Carter trying to hurt Xander in episode 6, and I sent you like some footage of that, and you're like, man, these sound effects are awesome, dude. I think sound is a integral part to a story to emphasize, like, you know, what's happening and stuff, and, you know, the impact things can have, and the music too, of course, the music, which sometimes I would just be randomly, like, you know, doing my own personal thing one day or working, and then as I'm doing it, I'm just brainstorming ideas of like what should happen or what music should be playing. Like, you know, that's why sometimes when I look forward to a scene that I'm wanting to film, I know exactly what music to put in. That way, because like there were some times where as I was editing it, I was like, I have no idea what music to put in here. Fuck. But important scenes like this one, I knew early on like what music to put in. That just makes things way less stressful. Way less stressful.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, it was nice because like I was in one location for the most part. But in case you're all wondering how I got these characters to actually fight each other, so what you have to do is you have to disable them being invincible. So if you're playing as someone that's invincible, and if you attack someone that's not invincible, they just run away from you. They're scared. It makes sense, right? You can't fight someone that's invincible. But on the contrary, if you're not invincible, and you try to attack someone that is, they don't give a fuck. They just stand there. So what do you have to do? You have to make, before you even spawn them in the scene director, you have to turn invincibility off. And this took me a long time to figure out, trust me. But you have to turn invincibility off before you spawn them in the scene director. And then, once that's done, all I had to do to get them to fight and hit each other was I would just be playing as someone, and I would just run into them and bump into them like 2 or 3 times. And then they would get pissed and start trying to fight me. And that's the thing I did for the entire show. That's all I got to work. Is you have to turn invincibility off for both characters before you spawn them in. You have to run into somebody else, sometimes 3 times, 2 or 3 times. They get pissed and want to start punching you. And that's how I did it.
Amazing.
I think too, because I played this game so damn much, mostly for this show, was I got pretty good at melee fighting. That's why, like, usually when a character dodges, that's me. I'm usually not the offender, I'm the person dodging and stuff. So.
Sorry, just looking at the footage then, as Carter was powering up, I realized there's a mistake right in my VFX, a very rare fuck up. If you look at the beginning part of as the aura appears around him, he has an outline of glow coming around his body. You see a very thin outline of glow on him as the aura surrounds him. And then as it goes along, the outline just goes boop and disappears.
Right there. Oops.
I never noticed that.
I didn't either. Oops.
Yeah. It was a whoopsie on my part. My bad.
No, it's hard to tell. And honestly, it's not even that big of a deal. I love these little, like, swishy green effects that you put in. I try to find those, and I think like when later on you handed the reins of the most visual effects to me because you just didn't have the time to do it for the most part, was you sent me some stock visual effects that you had, but some of them you just couldn't find, like this swishing green effect, you like the whipping green effect. You said you couldn't find it, and I was like, oh man, but later on I made it work.
You did make it work. I don't even remember if the effect was stock or if I just made it in something. Like, I don't remember where it came from at all, because I did do that for a few effects. I had to, like, hand do certain things with, like, Photoshop and stuff.
Yeah.
But fucking great, though. It turned out nice.
Yeah. I think another reason, too, is a few reasons why I wanted Gordon to get out of this scene, him being hurt and then him leaving, was I wanted, like, the dynamic to be, elevated more between Jake, James, and Carter, specifically. Because they're family, but they're fighting. And also, I didn't want Gordon to follow them to the airport, because we know what happens there. And I wanted Gordon to sort of stay out of that, just so he avoids, getting hurt or dying or whatever. That's a few reasons why I wanted him to just get out of the scene. That way he stays alive, and then let the other characters, play off of each other. But what's funny, though, is I remember putting this together, and I said, Scourge, there is no animation in the game that involves a character injecting a vial onto somebody else. It doesn't exist. And I said, I hate to ask you this, can you just film something really easy in live action? Because you have Carter, or a jacket that looks just like his jacket, don't you, in real life?
Yeah.
And the scarf.
Yep. And
then I remember you had one of your friends, you're like, okay, what I want you to do is pound me on the chest really hard. Did that hurt?
No, it was because we took the whole needle end out anyway, so it was fine.
What's that red liquid? Is that ketchup?
No, I think I don't remember what it was. I think it was some like juice.
Maybe like fruit punch or something.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Because I told him, I said, there's nothing in the game that I can utilize, because it's an important part of the scene, but there's no animation I can use where it shows a character putting a vial in somebody else. So like, we have no choice but to film this bit in live action.
Yeah.
So, didn't have a choice. I think that's also why we mostly cut out him injecting himself with the vial every day, just because there's no animation in the game, anything close to that. So even though we had a lot of things on the PC we could use, that's something that just wasn't in the game. The other thing, too, is when you have a character do an animation, unless it's a preset one, like a character drinking beer or something, you can't put objects in a character's hand and do the animation. You just can't do it. That includes, like... Because I don't even think there's... vials in the game that you can just place on their hand and then do an animation. It doesn't exist. That's why I said we have no choice but to do this in live action.
That looks so good. That bit. Sorry.
I love this smoke effect you did, because you were able to mask it behind that crate.
I know. I masked it behind the crate and the columns, and it looked so good. How the fuck did I pull it off? I was just thinking when you were saying about we did the eyes effect for the first time. And
so this is something you were like, hey Josh, so there's actually this thing called OpenIV where you can manipulate textures in the game. And one of them was like this weird looking like skull tattoo on a character's face, but you sent me like this texture file to change like their tattoo, which were like these just plain non-glowing green tattoo on their face. And so what we did was you sent me this text file which you're like, okay, this is gonna look silly, it looks like clown makeup, but it's gonna look good, don't worry. Like, okay, I'll trust you, because this whole scene he looks like a clown without the glow on. But you show me later on how it works, which is you key out the green.
You key out the green, but you add it back in, but with glow, basically.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Which you'll notice too, I noticed watching the scene for the first time, is you see some other stuff in the scene that looks somewhat green that's also glowing.
I didn't realize, yeah.
But that's because what you have to do is you have to mask out because I figured this out in the finale when filming as mutated Carter, was you have to mask out all the green in the scene except for the area in their face specifically.
Much, yeah. But the problem is that they're moving so much that you'd basically have to create a tracking mask, and it'd be such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So,
so many freaking challenges. Like right there on the crate, you saw how it was glowing green.
The crate's got radioactive shit on it.
Hey, you know what? You could chalk it up to saying Carter's powers are spreading around. You know,
maybe, yeah. The whole place turned green, so.
Josh, too many cuts, man. Too many fucking cuts.
But it turned out so good. It's one of the best scenes all around in the series. So.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, he's too freaking strong. We can't stop him. And then I don't know why one of my favorite lines. It's funny, but it's not. Is when Alex says, "Calm down," and he slams it into his chest. I don't know why. It's just funny to me. I just picture your friend slapping you on the chest, like, "Duh! Take that, Scourge!" You're like, "Ow!"
Well, it was worse because he had to basically like straddle me in order to do it. He had to like climb on top of me.
Oh gosh! What was the background for that? Were you like on a road somewhere?
No, we thankfully not. We were in somebody's back garden. So we were pretty private, but my friend filming was like, what the fuck is going on?
I like to envision you decide to find like, an empty warehouse or construction site somewhere, like go all out, and then you just see these construction workers like, what the fuck are those guys doing? Call the police. No, that's cool though. Yeah, and then from here on out, I think is when they try to like overcome their differences and stuff, but very reluctantly so.
Oh yeah,
I like that how it's just like, hey, they have to take their suits off, and then obviously there's no animation in the game. I mean, there is, but you don't physically see characters take clothes off; they stay on their body. So what we have to do is we have to cut away, have this glow to give the viewer the idea. Yeah, they removed them. Then it cuts back to the regular clothes. Sure. Why not? Nothing else we could do there. But yeah. Then again, back to console filming. Well, most of up on console. This hangar scene. Again, I'm not sure why. Looking back, I'm not sure why. But it was years ago. I honestly can't remember why I chose to do most of this on console. I think it's because maybe I started to film it, and then I figured out how to get mods to work on my PC a bit more. Maybe that's why. But anyway, yeah. But I do love this whole build up with Xander coming back and stuff. I think it was a great build up, and they're all shocked by it. And by this point, like our plan for the script is really coming together, I think. You'll notice too, actually, speaking of this, that what you see, like the color palette on the screen, is a filter I played around with, like in the Rockstar editor, which was inspired by some sections in Metal Gear Solid 4 during like some battle areas. And I chose that because, this is when officially LA is like being overtaken by the infected and stuff, and to kind of like all desaturated and depressing and things like that. Because like early on in the episode, when the president's talking to his assistant, it's all bright, it's all colorful and happy, and then it turns into dark, depressing shit. But
goodness,
it also kind of looks like how Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince looks for the most part, doesn't it? With like that brown and gray kind of theme.
Very desaturated, very brown and gray. Just depressing overall, yeah.
That's the tone I was going for.
Oh, it's about to get depressing, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is where, like, oh, you thought episode 4's ending was shocking? Well, episode 5 also has a shocking ending. And I think it was crucial that I think you told me that in episode 3 you were like, wait, where's the scene where the president dies? And I was like, no, that doesn't happen till later. You're like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. Remember that? It was like episode 3 you thought that's where the president dies, but it was in episode 4 when he dies. Yeah.
I got them, screwed up.
No, but for the most part, we didn't really... I think that was like the last like big confused thing we had, but you know, it's fine.
For sure.
But this whole scene I really like, because like again, it's mostly just them chilling, talking, and one character shoots, does nothing. So I don't remember running into a lot of issues filming this per se, which is nice. But I like how I did have to intercut between, you know, PC and console. Again, I don't know why I filmed some of this on console. It is what it is, so you'll have to ask my past self, which he probably doesn't even remember. I have no clue. I have no fucking clue. But you helped me with some of the visual effects when, like, he takes Yvonne, like, teleports him.
Oh, yeah.
There was, let's see. Oh, I just missed it. Right there.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like a TV static effect. Looks kind of cool.
Yeah, we sort of... I think we abandoned it later on. Early on, I was trying to imply that you see this static effect when he warps or whatever, but... Nah. I dropped it. We were like, nah, screw that.
It's like staticky, too. That kind of looks off now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then the whole, you know... Yvonne shooting himself and stuff, which we planned, you know, a while back. I think we thought about having another character shoot Yvonne, but I think we thought that was going to be too samey because of what Steven did to Vance. I think it's more impactful when Yvonne does it himself. I like to think, to this day even, that Xander tried to get Yvonne to shoot James and then himself, but Xander, in his last couple of moments of free will, chose to do it himself.
Yeah.
I like to envision that.
I think that works, yeah. I could believe that. It's really sad. But it goes to show how loyal Yvonne was.
To his commander, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that filter where it's like shaking and, you know, it looks weird, that's actually an effect from the game where that it looks like a character's on shrooms. So, that's the effect I use for that one. Yeah, it's really where the show starts getting really depressing, isn't it? So yeah, this scene here, which I also filmed, where we see Xander, you know, he admits, you know, he says his name, so obviously we know this is Xander, but he has the black hair. He also doesn't have pure white eyes yet, and his skin is slightly darker, trying to imply that this is a descendant of Manny. And as they're experimenting on him, you know, utilizing his powers more, the more his powers wake up, I think the more, like, you know, the whiteness from his hair, his eyes, etc., comes out.
Yeah,
I did have fun filming one part where he's like manipulating this guy, where he like makes him explode. And how I did this was I just simply said to myself, you're not going to really see it, but you're going to see like a security cam footage of it happening, akin to the security footage that the president saw in episode 5. Yeah. Doink.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also wanted to give the audience a sense of, you know, how innocent Xander used to be and how all this is like pressed on him in a way to make you feel bad for him, to understand why he has this motivation.